Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 290. Me and Robert will be with you in a minute while we do some pre-checks. At least the computer started today. Welcome to the Out There channel. Hey, wasn't it going through your headset? Strange. Hey, we got 7 watching and 5 likes. I wonder how many dislikes we got though. I don't see that till the end of the show. Hello, Charles, Susan. Going down to the base. One of JD80 will be joining us today. Who knows? It is a work day here in New Zealand though. They may pop on in the lunch times. Hello. Good to be back. Be civil on the sides, no hardcore swearing, no trolling, no attacking each other, especially me or Robert. You don't last long anyway. The Welshman and the lazy Kiwi will get you anyway. So yeah, what are we doing today, Robert? Just get this.
Well, first up, the New York Times bombshell crash retrieval article, and it is a bombshell as well. It's a bombshell. It's exploded a few people's faces, including the New York Times, including a few very excitable UFO researchers.
Very true. It didn't get us too much though. 290. Robert.
Well, I mean, the thing is, this was hyped to hell. I mean, the biggest culprit was UFO Joe, wasn't it? Joe Mergia. I mean, he's been hyping the hell out of this for 2 months now.
Yeah.
You know, and people were expecting the Roswell crash was going to be revealed and they were going to admit all. And other people were expecting it was the Wilson leak was going to be confirmed. As I said a few weeks ago, that was never, ever going to happen. Why people thought that, I really have no idea. But you see, there's people like this Joe Mergia now who have their inside contacts, as they call them. And you don't know who these people are. They could just be clowns taking the mick, you know, or they could be disinformation agents. You just, you know, you might feel special because you think you've got these people on board. But at the same time, they could be having a little giggle behind your back. You know, you've got to be so careful. And I do actually feel sorry for a couple of people in this drama. But the article itself is not all bad, you know. There's some good from this. So anyway, the best thing to do is crack on with the article because it's not too long at all, and we'll analyse it as we go.
Plus, I'll add on some stuff that Dave said yesterday as well. But we'll do the article first. Oh, I need the link because I haven't got it handy.
Yeah, hold on a sec. I've got a bit of an issue here. That should be okay now.
Oh no!
Just give me 2 seconds,
please.
No. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I still can't get the right angle on the bed here.
No.
Yeah, it looks like every UFO channel on the Sun on Twitter. There's a lot of drama happening.
Yeah.
What,
Well, yeah.
once I play the Dave Scott clip, you can see how you can see the BS as well as the infighting. Anyway, it's
Tell me
kind of
about it.
funny though.
The UFO community has been ablaze since this article broke on, when was it, Thursday evening? It was an evening article. I think it was 5:18. It broke New York time, and it's been hell ever since. But yeah, it's all fun, I guess.
I
So
think
I've
it's
left
been
you a link.
edited. I think it's been
It
edited
has.
3 times, so I
It
don't know if
has.
I don't know if it's got amendments on the bottom. What's
But
this?
what I've got here is what I've given you there is the original article. Okay, I made sure I kept that before it was edited.
I don't want to do that.
Eh?
They're saying I should create an account to log into New York Times.
Oh, I don't have to do that, Paul.
Continue. Oh. It's saying I have
no.
to create a free account.
Oh, you might as well go ahead and do it then.
But why?
I don't know.
No longer. Hang on. I can minimize it. I think they're trying to trick me. Yeah, we got some stuff on there. Let me just resize it a wee bit.
Yeah.
And go from the top, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fine print there.
Yeah, so just to make it clear now, the article is actually Leslie Kane and Ralph Blumenthal. Leslie Kane's had an interest in UFOs for around about the 5-year mark now, and this isn't the first article. She even wrote a book on UFOs, actually. What are you doing, Paul?
Hang on, it's got some of the article hidden. A little click button. Here we go.
We don't want to read it all out at once anyway, so just I didn't envisage any
I didn't envisage
any problems with this, to be honest.
I got a lot of sneaky code.
No longer in shadows, Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public. For over a decade, the program, now tucked inside the Office of Naval Intelligence, has discussed mysterious events in classified briefings. Back. Bars. 0:00/2:07.
Eh? What is that?
Transcript. U.S. Navy releases videos of unexplained flying objects. The U.S. Navy has officially published previously released videos showing unexplained objects. Radio transmission, whoa, got it, woohoo. The U.S. Navy has by Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keane.
Right.
There you go.
July 23rd, 2020. 463.
Oh, come on.
Leer en Español.
What?
Despite Pentagon statements that it disbanded a once covert program to investigate unidentified flying objects, the effort remains underway, renamed and tucked inside the Office of Naval Intelligence, where officials continue to study mystifying encounters between military pilots and unidentified aerial vehicles. Pentagon officials will not discuss the program, which is not classified, but deals with classified matters. Yet it appeared last month in a Senate committee report outlining spending on the nation's intelligence agencies for the coming year. The report said the program, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, was to standardize collection and reporting on sightings of unexplained aerial vehicles, and was to report at least some of its findings to the public within 180 days after passage of the Intelligence Authorization Act.
Okay, they're talking about the bill now, which was Marco Rubio's brainchild, wasn't it? Now, some news there as well. That's already been passed by the Senate. This is the bill for basically UFO transparency. So it's got through the Senate. It'll still have to go through the House, and then we'll have to see what Trump or whoever's in power thinks about it when it gets to them. Because I'm sure it'll go through the House as well. I mean, it's gone through the Senate very quickly. I just hope this article doesn't derail it in any way, because some people fear it might. This is where this article may have backfired in a way. Anyway, carry on, Paul, please.
Act. While retired officials involved with the effort, including Harry Reid, the former Senate Majority Leader, hope the program will seek evidence of vehicles from other worlds, its main focus is on discovering whether another nation, especially any
Okay, we need to
potential
stop it again.
adversary, is using breakout aviation technology that could threaten the United States.
Okay, Paul. Right, thank you. Okay, so where does it say? Discovering, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Hope the program will seek evidence of vehicles from other worlds. Now, Harry D took great offence at this, and he tweeted so. And he actually said in his tweet, I'll quote his words now, "I have no knowledge, and I've never suggested the federal government or any entity has unidentified flying objects or debris from other worlds. I've consistently said we must stick to science, not fairy tales about little green men." So this article had to be edited. But according to Leslie Kane and Blumenfeld, Harry Reid did not only say that to them in the interview, he went a damn sight further than that.
Also,
Okay.
off-world doesn't mean alien technology, apparently. It could mean it's a satellite in space that's come down, or Russian rocket.
Yes, but Paul, that was not what it was implying. It was obviously implying alien, wasn't it?
Well,
And certainly
because it's got other worlds there in that statement. It makes it sound like it's non-human.
This way, yeah, of course. Well, that's what Senator Reid took offence to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted that part of the article retracted, which it was.
Or
But
maybe he said it, but wanted it retracted for his security clearance.
Well, according to Kane and Blumenfeld, he didn't only say that, he said an awful lot more. He believes completely that this is alien technology.
Yeah, but that might be his opinion, but not his official statement.
Right. Exactly, that's what's happened. He didn't want it in print, you see, but he never made it clear, and hence the misunderstanding and this breakdown and this mess, which is what we've got now.
Well, you got Tucker saying off-world vehicles, so
yeah,
now that's out in the public domain, they might as well go with it now, maybe it's a chance to finally do disclosure.
Yeah, well, there's obviously something going on here. It's just that everyone seems to be debating how to get it out in a safe way.
Well, I think Tucker stuck it out there, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
I think it's out there now. They're going to have to either cover up what Tucker said on mainstream media, or they're just going to ignore it or carry on as normal. But just carry on, I suppose.
Sure.
States. Senator Marco Rubio, the Florida Republican, who is the acting chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, told a CBS affiliate in Miami this month that he was primarily concerned about reports of unidentified aircraft over American military bases, and that it was in the government's interest to find out who was responsible. He expressed concerns that China, or Russia, or some other adversary, had made some technological leap that allows them to conduct this sort of activity. Mr. Rubio said some of the unidentified aerial vehicles over U.S. bases possibly exhibited technologies not in the American arsenal. But he also noted, maybe there is a completely, sort of, boring explanation for it. But we need to find out. Thanks for reading The Times. Subscribe to The Times. In 2017, the New York Times disclosed the existence of a predecessor unit, called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Defense Department officials said at the time that the unit, and its $22 million in funding had lapsed after 2012. People working with the program, however, said it was still in operation in 2017 and beyond, statements later confirmed by the Defense Department.
Yeah, after
the program was begun in 2007 under the Defense Intelligence Agency and was then placed within the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, which remains responsible for its oversight. But its coordination with the intelligence community will be carried out by the Office of Naval Intelligence, as described in the Senate budget bill. The program never lapsed in those years, but little was disclosed about the post-2017 operations. The Pentagon program's previous director, Luis Elizondo, a former military intelligence official who resigned in October 2017 after
Not
10
Lewis.
years with the program, confirmed that the new task force evolved from the Advanced Aerospace Program. Luis Elizondo, a former military intelligence
stop
official,
after this
was the
anyway,
director
Paul.
of the Pentagon's previous program on unidentified aerial vehicles. Roger Kisby for the New York Times.
Goof-on reckons that's photoshopped. That picture.
Well,
He
so
reckons-
what if it is? What's the big deal?
He looks too buffed. But no, I don't
He's
think so.
quite-
I think he
he's
may
quite
have
a
put on.
stocky guy.
Yeah, I think he may have put on some weight since he's left the military a wee bit, but not too much. But anyway, what do you want to say?
Well, he was in intelligence anyway. Dear Jesus, I'm not sure now. Yes, okay. Now, Luis Elizondo, you see, what they've done here, they've buffed this article out, isn't it? It's padded. I mean, we know this, but what they're saying is there's a program that's still running in place of ATIP. It won't be called ATIP anymore. That's what they do once a program becomes discovered. They're gonna change the name. But that's confirmation that there is a program still running, and yeah, that's of interest. The next step is to find out who's in charge of it and what it's called, and then we can proceed with 5 requests.
Maybe just come up with random words. Aliens Frick program. Anyway, carry on.
Times. It no longer has to hide in the shadows, Mr. Elizondo said. It will have a new transparency. Mr. Elizondo is among a small group of former government officials and scientists with security clearances who, without presenting physical proof, say they are convinced that objects of undetermined origin have crashed on Earth with materials retrieved for study. For more than a decade, the Pentagon program has been conducting classified briefings for congressional committees, aerospace company executives, and other government officials, according to interviews with program participants and unclassified briefing
Stop it
documents.
after this one.
Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, that little bit there, what Luis Elizondo said. Do you want to just scroll up a little bit, please, so I can read that? Just a touch.
Favour?
Oh. I need the bit where, is among a small group of former government officials and scientists with security clearances who, without presenting physical proof, say they are convinced that objects of undetermined origin have crashed on Earth with materials retrieved for study. So again, they're not saying it's aliens, but it's the aliens. They can't quite say it yet, can they? Now, Elizondo was okay. They've quoted him there, but they haven't put what he said in quotes. So this was about his permission, you see. But he was contacted later, and he said, "Okay, I'm happy with that anyway."
Yeah,
So
I covered it
there's
yesterday.
There's a little bit of responsibility in this journalism. It's not the best journalism, is it?
No. Yeah, I covered the Open Minds segment yesterday. So if people have been following me, they will know what you're talking about.
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
But we got some people here today I don't remember being on yesterday's show, but
Well, that's good. That's good. Hi, Mike.
we'll just carry on.
In some cases, earthly explanations have been found for previously unexplained incidents. Even lacking a plausible terrestrial explanation does not make an extraterrestrial one the most likely, astrophysicists say. Mr. Reid, the former Democratic senator from Nevada who pushed for funding the earlier UFO program when he was the majority leader, said he believed that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that retrieved materials should be studied. After looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantive, some not so substantive, that there were actual materials that the government and the private sector had in their possession, Mr. Reid said in an interview. No crash artifacts have been publicly produced for independent verification. Some retrieved objects, such as unusual metallic fragments, were later identified from laboratory studies as man-made. Harry Reid pushed
Oh,
for
dear.
funding the earlier UFO program when he was the Senate Majority Leader. Joe Buglewicz for the New York Times. Eric W. Davis, an astrophysicist who worked as a subcontractor
Stop it
and then
after
a
this,
consultant for the Pentagon UFO program since 2007, said that, in some cases, examination of the materials had so far failed to determine their source, and led
Okay.
Okay, Eric Davis. Oh, his name pops up again. God, he's everywhere, isn't he? Now, how credible is Eric Davis? I don't know, because there's a lot of people casting doubt on his credibility at the moment.
Yeah, I don't
I'll
like
tell
him.
you why. I'll tell you why. He believes that the MJ12 papers, or some of them at least, are genuine.
Yeah, it's possible.
He's also the one that dug up. Let me talk about. He's also the one that dug up the alien autopsy film again, isn't he? Saying that
right.
he actually seen a similar film and it could have been the same film, and he believed it to be genuine. And you know, I mean, who the hell believes that film is genuine anymore? Nobody in their right mind. Linda Moulton Howe, yes, she still goes with it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. She's 10 sheets to the wind these days, isn't she? So
It was Richard
I don't know.
Doty that released the MJ12 stuff initially, wasn't it? And
What? No. That was before. Yeah, he was responsible for some of them, quite possibly. Yeah. 86, they broke. Jamie Chandra was the first person to get hold of them. They
I
won
think it was
$5
made a
million
reference to Linda Moulton Howe's what they were saying on Open Minds yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you're saying he wasn't the first?
She got sucked in by Doty. No, the first people to get sucked in were Bill Moore, Chandra, and Stanton Friedman.
I thought they'd come after the Doty stuff.
No.
But anyway, I'm in two minds on it. I think there may be some truth in the MJ12, but the documents were fabricated.
Definitely.
Done really well though. They're fabricated, but done excellently. Like they're done so it looked so genuine, but they weren't, because they even fooled Stanton Freeman. So all you need to do is cut and paste it right, and do it in a way that's not detectable using old documents.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right, the signature of Harry Truman was lifted from one paper and copied onto another. A typical copy and paste job. And as a result, no two signatures are ever the same, you see. It's impossible. You can never get them identical.
No.
But on two separate documents, one of them we know was legitimate, and one of them was an MJ12 document.
Yeah.
Those signatures were identical. So there's there's solid proof there for you. That
I think Black Vault pointed out the stamps were identically placed.
Yes.
Normally, when you stamp something, it's like random, slightly out or whatever. It's not done by a machine.
But another thing here with Edric Davis here is that he's been blurting out this stuff about crash retrievals for a long time now, you know. If you listen to his interview on Open Minds, it was early 2019. He goes a hell of a lot further than what he says in this article.
Right.
So this might be news to people that are outside of the UFO community, but it's not to us, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, sort of recycled stuff all the time, isn't it? And it sort of gets a wee bit boring because it never goes anywhere. I call it smoke and mirrors and bait and switch.
Led him to conclude, we couldn't make it ourselves. The constraints on discussing classified programs and the ambiguity of information cited in unclassified slides from the briefings have put officials who have studied U.F.O.S in the position of stating their views without presenting any hard evidence. Mr. Davis, who now works for Aerospace Corporation, a defense contractor, said he gave a classified briefing to a Defense Department agency as recently as March about retrievals from off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. Mr. Davis said he also gave classified briefings on retrievals of unexplained objects to staff members of the Senate Armed Services Committee on October 21, 2019, and to staff members of the Senate Intelligence Committee 2 days later. Committee staff members did not respond to requests for comment on the issue. Public fascination with the topic of U.F.O.S. has drawn in President Trump, who told his son Donald Trump Jr. in a June interview that he knew very interesting things about Roswell, a city in New Mexico that is central to speculation about the existence of UFOs. The president demurred when asked if he would declassify any information on Roswell. "I'll have to think about that one," he said.
Of course, there's some speculation that Trump was misunderstanding Area 51 with Roswell there, so...
Well, he definitely was, because he was going on, people would love to go there and people would love to know what's there, and people were like, whoa, we're confused, what's he talking about? Yeah, so we got that wrong. It just shows Trump's complete lack of interest and enthusiasm on the subject, to be honest. But just one more thing about Eric Davis now. I'm coming to the conclusion that guy is muddying the waters more than anything else, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, I would only raise one eyebrow if somebody said to me that guy is a disinfo agent, you know. Either that or he's highly
I'm not
excited
sure about him.
believes in anything. I don't know. I'm not sure at all. But yeah, you got to keep one eye on what he says.
Well, it's him and Hal Putoff. They're like a team at Earth Science, aren't they?
No, Hal Putoff was his boss.
Yeah, but they're working together. I thought they worked together in the company. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, they did. But Putoff was Davis's boss. Yeah, he employed Davis.
But both of them are sort of like what you call fringe scientists. They got all these sort of theories coming out thin air, and none of them
theoretical physics. Yeah, they are proper scientists, man. They know this stuff. But I mean, all quantum stuff is theoretical, isn't it? That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean say it's of no use in the future.
I don't know. I think they're just making up stuff just to keep getting funding myself. But anyway,
maybe so. But Hal Putoff, he's also talked extensively about crash retrievals. You know. Did a couple of lectures.
Well, it's a subject to get people excited with, isn't it? And get funding. Fund here, crowdfund. I don't know how they get the money, but it must be through government contracts at the moment. And
Paul, I'm not sure how you'd get. I think that would be going on about crash retrievals to be detrimental to your career and your funding.
Depends what your audience is, I guess. But anyway.
Well, come on, you're going to look down the years, and it's landed people talking about that kind of stuff in a whole load of Hebrew trouble, basically.
Yeah.
So no, I can't agree with that one.
Well, crash retrievals doesn't necessarily mean aliens in this case. It just means that something's come down from space and they don't know whose it is. Like space junk that just come over Texas recently.
Hey, listen, man. You know, people who say these things don't exist are living in the medieval age, you know, or the prehistoric age even. There's obviously something to UFOs, isn't there? And there's obviously seems to be something now to this crash retrieval business. It's not a dumped satellite. Do you know what I mean? That's fallen out of the sky. There's something more to it than this. I think it's blatantly bloody obvious now.
No, I think it's like switching words. These guys can say crash retrieval, meaning aliens, but they can sort of then bait and switch again and say, "Oh, I meant, I didn't say aliens in that statement, right?"
Yeah, it's called plausible deniability.
They always got it out, you see. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Said. Either way, Mr. Reed said, more should be made public to clarify what is known and what is not. It is extremely important that information about the discovery of physical materials or retrieved craft come out, he said. The Pentagon's efforts to identify unexplained flying objects. Wow, what is that? Navy pilots report unexplained flying objects. May 26th. 2019.
All right, it's finished, is it?
It's cooked.
All right. What's this one? Oh, we've got corrections. Let's read out the corrections. They're at the bottom here.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Oh, there's only one still. I thought they're going to add a few more.
I thought there was only one.
Correction, July 24th, 2020. An earlier version of this article inaccurately rendered remarks attributed to Harry Reid, the retired Senate Majority Leader from Nevada. Mr. Reid said he believed that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred, and that retrieved materials should be studied. He did not say that crashes had occurred, and that retrieved materials had been studied secretly for decades. An earlier version also misstated the frequency with which the Director of National Intelligence is supposed to report on unidentified aerial phenomena. It is 180 days after enactment of the Intelligence Authorization Act, not every 6 months. A version of this article appears in print on.
Yeah, Paul.
We're finished there. But let's switch over to what Dave Scott was ranting on about today, and they're saying that they're like the trusted sources and no one else is. So it was kind of hilarious. I was kind of chuckling to myself when I was listening to it. Let's see how we go. Should be queued, I hope, to the spot. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's lost it. Let's see. No, it's lost it. Hang on, let me just reload that again. It should have the timestamp. Why is it going so slow? Looks like it got changed. Hang on. Let me see if I can find where he phones in. 39, I think it was. Let me just get there. I committed it to memory just in case.
You names, I could show you stories on the internet. I could show you everything that I have done. I still got notepads because I saved them for some stupid reason. And mic flashes and everything. Okay, I can show you all of that. I said, but this is what I'm saying. And people harp, I've heard people harp on me and on you, Rich, going after these people who are frauds.
Yeah.
Okay, going after people who claim they're investigative journalists or UFO journalists when they've never worked in journalism in our lives. This is the danger of ufology, and there's one group out there right now that is suffering because of this, because they allegedly put their faith in someone who allegedly does not have the credentials that they claim they have.
Right.
Is he talking about Ryan Sprague there, and also what's his name, Deep Priceset and the UAP? UAP. What's the group name? UAP. What's the name of the group? UAP. I can't remember what the last name of the group was called. Deception. I don't know. No, I can't remember. But anyway, I think that's who they're talking about. That group that he resigned from, that I talked about a couple of days ago. Anyway.
And people who have griped about you and griped about me about, get off the pot, man. Get off the pot. We're way too invested in this, and you're making it emotional, and you're making your sound like an asshole and all of this kind of stuff. Really. Well, this is what happens when you involve people who are not who they say they are.
Right.
Okay. And I told this person because I mentioned a couple of names, and you know who those names are, of fake journalists.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I like that guy. I said, okay, you like that guy, but you just experienced with this guy being a fake, allegedly. Okay, now you're going to go and trust this guy who's a fake, who's never worked in journalism, but he calls himself a journalist.
An investigative journalist. Well,
absolutely.
Used to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the point that I'm getting at is, and this is for the public who is listening to this, because I know your audience and my audience are pretty much the same, and they're brilliant people, and they're probably eye rolling while watching this right now, saying, "Oh God, here he goes again." Okay, but this is why we cannot take our foot off the gas pedal, because one group who has really good people involved with it and really top-notch scientists just potentially got burned because of somebody who lied about their, allegedly, about their credentials.
It's got to be deep he's talking about there.
It's a pretty big matzo ball out there. It's a lot of people being hurt by this individual.
Well,
It
yeah,
hurts
but it's not just about that person, though. And you're right. There's more to come on that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot more to come on that. However, this goes for the whole community of people who lie. Okay, people who are trying to make a living out of this, people who are trying to pull the wool over others' eyes because they want.
See, I kind of find this bit ironic with Dave teaming up with Third Phase of the Moon and Goofon, right?
Yeah, I know.
And he's going on there saying that they're everybody else is frauds, but that he's working with a team of frauds, and his reputation is down the.
Talk about double standards.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you had it one way or the other.
That's right.
I mean, and that guy UFO Jesus helping out Tyler. I pulled him on it, and he was trying to justify it by saying, "Oh, well, I need to go." So what he's saying is, "What I'm after is fans."
Yeah, I know it's sort of hypocrites, double standards.
Yeah.
Alliance Ground put out a video on Goofon yesterday, which was hilarious. Anyway, we just carry on.
That television show, and they want that prestige. They want to be on that top row of conference posters. Okay, and that's where we get into the bullshit. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in UFO groups. We're seeing that now with this article coming out and people bitching at the reporters who wrote it. Once the article leaves their hands, it's in the hands of the editors. But these are people who allegedly are journalists. And it's showing that they're not.
They're not very good.
Yeah. Open Minds, we played the clip yesterday, was saying exactly the same thing, that the editor may have cut and pasted things out and changed the flow of the article, key points like quotes and things. So everyone's bitching at the journos, but maybe it wasn't them. But unless we see their full submission, how can we be sure? You know, they may have stuffed up. You know, Keen may have stuffed up. Who knows? But he's trying to defend it. It's the editor, most likely the editor, that's changed it and made the mistakes or whatever. But
I think they were limited to a certain amount of words, weren't they, with a degree of flexibility.
2,500 probably, and it was probably 2,700. I think Open Minds said, or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah. The only thing is, Paul, they included a lot of stuff in there that didn't need to be included. As I was saying earlier, that the article was really padded out. I mean, the start of the article about Luis Alessandro and ATIP. Well, we already know that. We already know at the end of the article. We already know what Trump said about Roswell. That's fairly insignificant. So if you want to get some, because what they're saying is there's going to be a follow-up to this article. It's like part one of, it's going to be like a trilogy at least.
That's what they're saying
but then
now.
Everyone's going to be saying now part two of the article is going to be the real bombshell. To be honest now, I think they're going to be even more careful about what they put out the next time.
Yeah. Especially if they're going to break NDAs of people.
They won't do that.
Well, I wouldn't say the article was I wouldn't say the article was a nothing burger, but it sort of fell flat after all the corrections.
Okay, well, listen to this now. Let's go back to mid 2017, before that first New York Times article. You know, with the 3 videos, TTSA and all that broke in December 2017. Up until then, nothing was happening in the UFO world. It was going nowhere. It was a stagnant little pond, and people were just
following Tyler,
just reminiscing on old cases, and there was nothing else. It wasn't going anywhere. Now, if that article had come out then, in mid-2017, it would have been a bombshell. It would have been.
Oh,
But
yeah.
now, with the disclosure that we're slowly having, people are wanting
more.
everything in one go, you see.
Yeah. Well, all the hype. There's too much hype with UFO Jesus and all these other clowns out there.
Oh.
Anyway, let's carry on. This goes on a wee bit
sure.
more interesting.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like people care as much. It's just weird. It's a weird time. I can't believe how. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Pardon me for cutting you off.
No, it's good.
Okay, but if you and me, let's just use you and me for an example. If we take our foot off the gas pedal, then we're no better than those people who are lying right now. And those people, like you just said, like, that's the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way. You know, it doesn't have to be that way.
But why do people get upset at us for delivering the truth?
Because they don't. Because
I know, it's hilarious.
They don't believe it.
There's two answers to that. A lot of the people who are calling themselves journalists, for instance, in reality are really nice people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know any better, and they just said, "Well, I wrote an article for this this online company. I guess I'm a journalist now. Hee hee! Look at me! Look at my eyes! All right."
I love that.
Yeah.
And so that's how it goes.
I think he's trying to suggest that Ryan Sprague is on the old weed, the green stuff. Look at my eyes. I think that's what he's saying there, unless he's talking about someone else.
No, I think he is. And the thing is, he's absolutely right about Ryan Sprague there, to be honest, because that guy went into the UFO field with one intention and one intention only, and that was making a living out of it.
My phone just went off. It's really weird. Anyway, I'll look at it later.
Okay. And all he's doing, to be honest, is degrading the subject.
Yep, I'll just carry on then. But when they're saying that, they're serious and not fake news, well, they are a lot of time. But I must admit that Dave on the Dreaming team is about the only one that actually talks any sense out this idiots.
He's the best of them. I'm just sorry for him, but he's associated with Turd Face and this goofy guy.
He's trashed his reputation in my book anyway, but we'll have to see how it heads out. They all seem to be getting lots more subs from it all,
Yeah, of course they will, because everybody wants to believe, and there you go. So if you knock out bullshit, you're going to get more subs, more views, more everything.
Yeah.
But I can't live with myself, to be honest, if I was any part of that.
No. Especially when they're talking about rocks on, what was it, Mars, was it? Pyramids, all that sort of nonsense. Scott was only the one that said, "Oh yeah, we're just seeing things. It's pareidolia." But that Doc Skinner is probably the worst off the whole panel. I think he's a real flakehead. He believes everything. But yeah, already got some more ammo. They've put out a thing that's obviously a plane pulling a banner. And they're trying to say it's a drone and all this sort of stuff. It's hilarious. But anyway, another thing to debunk midweek, I guess.
So somebody said, well, hey, that was a good journalistic article. You had real good journalistic integrity. And it might be somebody who they look up to, and they're like, yeah, that was good journalism. Well, now all of a sudden, guess what? Well, I'm a journalist because I perform journalism. Well, you know what? I've had sex before. Doesn't make me a porn star, right?
No,
what?
I know, he's lost it.
But
I understand. Yeah.
You could use the analogy for anything.
I had to. Yeah.
You could use the analogy for anything, right? I mean, there's millions of examples. And that's what happens is, for those people who are lying about their credentials, they're actually nice people. Okay? They're nice people who don't think that they have done anything wrong until somebody calls them out for it. And then all of a sudden they backlash. Okay, and that's what happens. They backlash.
Yeah, they freak out. And then they're like, oh man, well, maybe I'm wrong. And they look into it. And then all of a sudden they don't put investigative in front of their name anymore. They're just journalist, which is still a lie.
Exactly. Exactly.
They can't help it.
And that's the point that I brought up to this person I talked to today is that exact point. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to call out someone for that, okay, for what has happened and what you're going through, you have to call out the rest, because otherwise you're going to get put in that exact same situation by bullshit that doesn't need to happen.
I want to ask you, because I know, you want to get back to painting or whatever it is you're doing. I don't know. So what happens now? What is the New York Times? Bob said that they're going to put out more articles here with a lot more information. Do you know anything about this? And what does the New York Times article do about these mistakes?
Well, they have to legally correct the mistakes. Okay, and what they're going to do is when an article like this comes out, and I said this in the Grant Cameron piece yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes through a team of lawyers. Okay, there are certain times that the media, and I saw this in our newsroom when our crime reporter was working on stories where if he had something big on a politician or he had something big on a corporation, before that story got run, we had media lawyers who we would contact and say, okay, this is the story. This is where I got the information. This is the source. You break it all down to the media lawyers. So that way they have their butts or your butts protected in case something happens. Okay, now I worked in sports. That never was going to happen. Okay, it was never going to happen. And so I didn't need to worry about that. But for crime reporters or people who are working on the political scene and they got a huge breaking story, those stories would immediately have a meeting with the editor, with the news director, and they would get the company lawyer or the media outlet lawyer or lawyers on the phone, and they'd go over everything. Okay, this is the quote I have. What are the legal implications? So in order to keep those sources open, this is what I'm assuming happened. Okay, Harry Reid says, why the hell did you run that? Okay, like I can't go on there. This is security. I'm denying that I said that quote. And if you want to continue getting info out of me and intel out of the TTSA or whomever, you need to print a misquote in that paper. Okay, that they would look at their lawyers and the lawyers would say, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So in order to keep the floodgates open on this story for future stories and future information, okay, they have no choice but to run the retraction.
Do we know this is a misquote? Or is he just saying, I never said it, but is it a misquote or is it real? Is that what we won't know?
That's what we don't know.
This sucks, man.
But remember, okay, so remember about a year ago, I came on your show, and I think B. Baker was giving me a hard time on this. Yeah, I'm looking at you, B. Baker, right now. Okay.
Gonna get you.
I mean that with all love and respect.
I'll see you in the back alley.
The idea behind this is there is a narrative being played here. Okay, it involves the New York Times, it involves Fox News, it involves other media outlets, it involves the To the Stars Academy, namely Chris Mellon, namely Lou Elizondo. It involves Harry Reid. Okay, those are the major players that are in this right now. Okay, and if they want to control that media narrative on everything that is coming out, okay, and in order to keep the government secrets, whether it's Roswell, Phoenix, Shag Harbor, whatever it may be, They have to keep a tight leash on this story. That's why all of a sudden Harry made fun of it and said, I never said anything. This is about anomalies in the sky, not about little green men, or whatever his quote was.
Vehicles? Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Off-world vehicles?
Well, who the hell is flying them?
Right.
You know what? Is some alien named Nip2
Artificial
on
robots.
Mars having a drone that can fly to Earth? And he's sitting there. He got it for Christmas at Mars Christmas time. Like, come on. How stupid can we be? It's only obvious that if it is from this world, okay, if it is from this world, it could be a drone. If it's not from this world, it's got to have a fucking pilot.
Unless it's a, drone. They send over something
Dave
with
Scuttermouth.
nothing. Like we do, yeah.
Could be.
But nonetheless, it's still being intelligently controlled somehow.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it totally could be. I don't know.
God.
You don't know. I don't know. None of us know.
Now,
okay.
Did Tucker Carlson do a second part 2 to that?
Yes,
he did.
He interviewed David Fravor.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but no. Anyways, I just
let's see. I think David Fravor said that he thinks that they're off world, but he's just a pilot. Yeah. He's not the government.
No,
you need the government to admit it, not pilots or Eric David scientists.
Okay, Paul. But do you honestly think that there's going to be Donald Trump standing up, come on, in front of the world saying aliens are real and there's absolutely jack shit we can do about it if they turn nasty?
Well, probably not this side of elections anyway. Want to do it if he gets voted
I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's just going to be a slow acclimatization to the situation that we are not alone. There's going to be no bombshell hearing statement from the president. That's just not going to happen. Anyone who thinks that is about to happen is delusional.
Well, look how big the universe is. It's naive to think we're the only ones that's a living planet out of trillions.
We've heard all that before. We've heard all that stuff before. Yeah, of course, it'd be an awful waste of space if it was just us. Yeah, it's only going to carry on the way it is, but it's all ramping up, and the genie's out the bottle now. Once it's out, you can't put it back in. You can try and put it back in, but you're just going to look stupid. But it could come to a stage where you reach critical mass, and then it could. It's already happening, but the rest of what they know might come out fairly quickly towards the end. I can see that happening.
I think we've got the interview of David Fravor coming up anyway. I'll just carry on.
That's what I know. Okay, and the media and here's the other issue. Okay, since I've been in this field, it doesn't matter if I've talked to Lorian Fenton or other people who hold major conferences around North America. The biggest issue another big issue that ufology has had is they have never had anybody who understands how the media works make presentations. Okay, we're worried about little sightings of discs and orbs and black triangles and flashers in the sky and people who are having face-to-face contact with aliens and reptilians and greys and Andromedans, Pleiadians, whoever it may be. All right, but in the end, if you want the story to come out, you have to focus on the media. The media plays a major role in this, and what we are seeing is control of the media narrative. I've been saying it for more than 2 years on this subject, ever since TTSA came out, and everything that has come out. I'll say to people this: prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that there is no media narrative at the way this is going down. If it wasn't going down the way I said, why do we only see quotes from the following? We only see quotes from Lou Elizondo. We only see quotes from Chris Mellon or Harry Reid or Nick Pope. There's never Richard Dolan on the television, or Grant Cameron, or Steve Bassett, or Melinda Leslie, or Lorian Fenton, or Victor Vigiani, or anybody of that ilk. Where's Cheryl Costa? Okay, where is Michael W. Hall? Where are these people? The fact is, they aren't. Okay, they aren't around because.
Okay, now I see where he's coming from here, and he's got a fair point, because it's been taken out of the hands of UFO researchers now. This whole disclosure thing is basically, quite simply, in the hands of TTSA and the New York Times. That's the only way. And I can tell you now, it may well be disclosure of sorts, yeah, but it's going to be disclosure on their terms.
Yeah.
I mean, oh God, you know, the stuff that TTSA have come out with is the same stuff that UFO researchers have been saying for decades. But of course, they're not government insiders; they're civilian researchers, aren't they? And people maybe with a science background. If you look at people like Hyneks and McDonald over the years, but because these people, well, yeah, they are government people. They're government employees at the end of the day, aren't they? So they're more trusted, and their stories are more principled.
Well, military witnesses are generally more trusted.
I can understand a lot of UFO researchers being really, really peed off with TTSA, you know, because it's kind of stole their thunder. You know, the stuff they've worked hard for decades is kind of been ignored. And then we get these new kids on the block, and they're making waves. What TTSA will do, they'll continue to push this threat narrative. I don't care. They will continue to push that, because one thing saying, okay, UFOs, this is interesting. This is worthy of scientific research. It is, sure. But if you think, oh, it's a threat to national security, there's dollar there. There's dollar there. You know, that's how you get the money. So it's quite clever the way they're going about it. Some people are saying it's an op.
Speaking of which, did you see the latest TV episode 3 of Unidentified?
No, I haven't had time to watch.
About UFOs and nukes, and there's a few new whistleblowers come out that are not showing their face. I think there was at least 3 in it. It's quite interesting, talking about how a UFO come down and all that sort of business over a training camp, I think it was. And they didn't have any nuclear weapons apparently, but it turns out they had some sort of dummy nuclear blast thing that simulated a nuclear blast. But yeah, but they're going on about are they studying us to see how much of a threat we are? So yeah, I don't know. This is the whole problem. We don't know what their motives are. That's the whole problem. We don't know who they are, what their motives are, where they come from.
I mean, you could argue they've done no real harm in the last 75 years, and then you could argue about the abduction side of it, which is something that I don't think TTSA will touch at this point. It'll be interesting to see if they do in the future, because once you bring that into it, then it gets really scary.
Well, it depends if you got some credible military witnesses that actually talk about being abducted, right? And they've got eyewitnesses see it happen. Accounts, but yeah. So I talked about that Birkinshaw event where everybody was saying it was faked and all that, a made-up story, and the body language guys looked at it and said the woman was telling the truth, and I believe that was the case too. When I watched the witnesses tell the story, you could see they were sincere. and believe what happened, But then you got people like Scott Brando and Mick West saying, or what's his name, Dunnan from Skeptoids, trying to put it all down. It's disgusting, really, how these debunkers act. If they want to be respectable, they should debunk stuff that's obviously debunkable, but don't go and try and tear down every account, because it doesn't work. We know that now.
Well, no, they're starting to look increasingly stupid now.
Yeah. We'll just carry on till the end of this Fox News thing, and then we'll just carry on with the next topic, I guess.
Yeah, like I don't know what the hell we're playing this for.
Because they're just about to finish up.
There is control of the narrative. All right?
That's right.
All right? David Fravor. We see David Fravor everywhere about the Nimitz incident. Where's Kevin Day? Where's Gary Voorhees? Where's PJ Hughes? Where are they?
Good question, actually.
They were there.
Yeah.
They were there. But the difference is Lieutenant Commander David Fravor, not Petty Officer PJ Hughes.
What are they just being saved for the TV, you think, right now?
No.
Unidentified? No?
No.
Why then? Why aren't they out?
Because Fravor has been protected by the TTSA.
Mm-hmm.
He's being protected by the... Did you say that? TTSA?
Yeah, he's under the TTSA banner. He's not a member per se, but for media, they call up Fravor and they have Fravor do all this stuff. When a quote is needed, they get a hold of Fravor. Hey, okay, we'll provide you with this. We'll provide you with this person or that person. Not a problem. Oh, you're Fox News? Oh, you're CNN? Oh, you want to talk UFOs? Perfect. Here's
and they
Fravor.
like PhDs
don't
as
worry
well,
about the other guys. Don't worry about that ufology crap. We're dealing with...
They definitely have a bias, the media. They're like PhDs or multiple PhDs or professors and all that sort of stuff as well as credible
it kind of
high
does,
ranking.
credibility. But just 1 second there. Talk about Kevin Day. I mean, if you look at, was it in the first series of Unidentified, was it episode 2 where he interviewed Kevin Day? So no, he's not being left out of it. He was part of the
I think they talked about on the interviews going on at the moment. He's being left out, but you'll see the interview in a minute with Fravor.
Okay.
Shelley's finally joined us.
Okay. Hi, Shelley.
She's on the laptop. Shelley has been...
No
advanced.
way. Oh, that's good news.
No spy pad anymore, hopefully.
We don't need Giordano. We don't need Scott. We don't need Cameron. We don't need those people. Okay, we'll give you Fravor. We'll give you Elizondo. We'll give you Mellon. We'll give you...
Yes.
Okay?
All government people.
Exactly. We'll give you Pope. All right?
He used to be in the government, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's how they're doing it.
I call him.
But nonetheless, that's why UAP and UFO are now separated. UAP is for government narrative, UFO is for the civilians. That's what it means. I mean, I'm so stupid. But they're not going to do anything else other than their own thing. They don't want to deal with us. Why would they, though?
Because and you hit the nail right on the head. Why would they?
Right.
Look at us. Fake journalists.
Oh, that's right.
fake scientists.
That's right.
People claiming that they are an incarnation of a Pleiadian starseed. People who claim that they are
Billy
having
Maya.
Mothra's love child. All right. There's all sorts of bullshit in this field, and what they're trying to do, to TTSA's credit.
But it's still ironic that they associate themselves to the third phase of the moon and all those other jokers out there who actually are pushing all this secret space program nonsense. And so, it's kind of double standards.
And you have to say one thing about TTSA. They've done more in the space of 2.5 years than any other research group has done in 70 years.
That's because they got some, big names there in their group.
Yeah, sure. And well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Chris Mellon is very influential.
I think he's the main player, actually.
He is the main player. I'm glad that you've seen that.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we carry on. I just find it almost laughable that they're going on about fake scientists and fake this. But they associate with fakes themselves. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's kettle calling a teapot black, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
teapot black.
But I can understand. I always went after Deep Prasats, and he blocked me, right? Because he was BSing to people that this is UFOs when it was clearly skydivers, and it was well documented. He just had to do the research, but he wouldn't back down. He says, no, this video was on the same day, but it's not to the skydivers. Blah blah blah. When it clearly was, because they're heading towards the ground all the time. And so he blocked me on that one. And then later on, he was slanging me off in the comments on Open Minds, was it? Saying, I blocked you because you were harassing me, which was nonsense. I only sent him a couple of comments saying that he was wrong. The kid doesn't like to be wrong. But now they're saying that he doesn't actually have qualifications. That it was all a ruse. And yet in 2014 article is saying he was the whiz kid, and he was got was it a PhD in physics or something, but maybe he hasn't got qualifications in the right field for that scientist that he's with,
I don't know about that, Paul. He has got some papers about you.
Yeah, I know, but they're saying he's not qualified. So I like to see the evidence where they reckon he's not qualified. I haven't seen anything online, and I did a search to see if anything come out on that. So I'm not sure where they're getting the information from there. But then you notice they are not mentioning any names because they're just talking about fake scientists, but it's clearly who they're talking about there, because Goofon went on about Prasat couple live streams back.
Passad,
Passad, whatever you want to call him. But I don't. So they kept going on about his fake alien visit and all that sort of stuff on that particular episode. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe some of it was embellished. Maybe he's a liar. Just another liar. Maybe he's another disinformation.
No, I don't know. I would like to reject this story out of hand like that, So I've never
I'd like
heard,
to see the evidence. If they get taken down saying that they're fake scientists, they need to prove who they're talking about and reason why.
Yeah.
Like I do when I say Tyler's got all these court cases, and I'll bring it up on the screen and show you how you can look it up yourself, or UFO Proof's got 2 felonies, and you can here you can look them up. And it was only went to court and found guilty only a couple of months back, and he was blabbing on that people change, criminals change, and we don't steal anymore. We've learned our lesson. Well, what a bunch of hypocrites, all these frauds online. But anyway. Oh, what's happened to my mouse here? Got a problem. Oh, here we go. Lost radio signal for some reason.
And to the narrative's credit, is they're trying to bring credibility to it. They don't look at Spaced Out Radio and say, well, that's a credible show. They're not even looking at George Norrie, guys. Okay, George Norrie has 9 million listeners a night. They don't look for him for a quote. Okay, when this started, before Art Bell passed away, Art Bell wasn't even being interviewed on this. Okay?
Yeah.
And he's the man who created the entire paranormal media.
Well,
he did, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Without a doubt, because
Art Bell did create an interest in it, but the problem is why the media didn't take them serious, because they're into the big woo-woo, right? They're not actually into the facts like TTSA is doing, and trying to prove it with scientists and materials, and so it's a whole different ballgame. I know some of the materials did come from Art Bell that were passed on to him, to Linda Moulton Howe, where she profited 30,000 from it, blah, blah, blah.
He was on every night all those years. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. So basically, they don't want the wingnuttery of ufology. Okay, that a source of a source of a source who sat at a hockey game in a press conference
That sounds
in
like
a
Linda
press
Moulton
box
Howe.
in Vancouver said that aliens have invaded Toronto and New York and LA. They don't want that. What they want is they want the government source. Okay, that's why there's no history. Okay, don't forget, Rich, and the people shouldn't.
And that's why the government paid interest to Dr. Greer, because he set up the group where he was collecting all these sources, the whistleblowers, and they wanted access to it, right? So that's the only reason he got famous. It wasn't because he was a brilliant man. But now he's banging drums and charging $2,000 a head and faking angels flying over people's heads just to keep the money rolling in.
What Greer was good at was organisation and bringing people under the same roof to fight the cause, but once people like Edgar Mitchell and Gordon Cooper and many others, once they realised what they were actually dealing with,
yeah,
they soon deserted him.
A bit of a psychopath, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's kind of a sociopath, that's for sure. He's very forceful. I think it's either his way or no way,
Yeah. But once he started bringing in dubious people as like deathbed confessions, it fell apart really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in that serious disclosure, he included that boy Bushman, didn't he?
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy now?
I can't remember all of them.
There was quite a few spurious witnesses that kind of diluted the good ones.
Yeah. I just can't
forget. There's 70 plus years of these stories that have been recorded ever since before Roswell. Okay, that is a lot of information to cover up. And here's where it gets really stupid, Rich, and you and I haven't even talked about this. Okay, is now all of a sudden, with these questions opening up about everything, and people starting to push their sources a little bit more to get a little bit more information. Okay, what this is opening up to, guys, is it is opening up to a lot of weird stories that are going to come out.
Just from the government, though, right?
On everything. Like I know there is somebody out there right now, okay, who has, and I have had the pictures sent to me. I'd be damned if I could find them right now. I know no government agent swiped my phone or anything like that.
Yes, they did.
Okay, but there is somebody right now who sent me photos from an alleged jump room.
That sounds like Linda
Holy
Moulton Howe.
crap, no way.
Okay. So here
I gotta see this.
So here's the thing. These photos were taken secretly on a phone.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Wait, this is old. Aren't these old?
Well, hold on a second here.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden, and this is where everybody's gonna eye roll. Okay? But what is old is new again. Okay? Because when it starts to come out that, and this all ties into the narrative, okay? And this is my thinking, and I've talked to Science Bob about this, and Bob thinks I'm onto something, and when Bob thinks I'm onto something, I usually run with it, okay? Because no offense, he's kind of smart and way smarter than I will ever be.
Yeah, he is.
Okay?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Everybody's smarter than Goofon.
If they can't if the media wakes up and starts asking, what about Roswell? What about Kecksburg? What about Phoenix? What about the Marfa Lights? All of a sudden that opens up to a hell of a lot more of a Pandora's box here. Okay? Where is Andrew Bashago a liar? Okay, now I'm not saying that he met with Barack Obama on Mars. Okay, I think that's a little far-fetched, or that he was told that he was going to be president. I think that's a little bit
No, you either believe all the way or no way. You can't half believe
you
that
can.
story. Come on,
But what
man. You can't cherry pick that story if it, you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Well, I mean,
I have to give you a hard time.
well, I'm going to throw a shoe at you. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. All right,
Let me
so
tell you. Anyways,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I'm not really busting chops.
I'd like to
but
throw something
you
else at
can't
him.
just break up that story and pick and choose some. What do you mean then? If I'm not understanding this,
what I'm saying is, outside of Bashago, okay, take Bashago and throw his name and his stories to the side.
Okay.
Okay, there are people out there right now investigating these jump rooms.
Okay.
Okay, and they have had people send them photos from this alleged building
like BS.
that there's these jump rooms.
Spartan
Okay,
1,
you look
Spartan
at,
2.
and I know you and I have battled on Bob Lazar. Okay, we battled heavily on Bob Lazar. I believe Lazar. You think he's a piece of poo. Okay, and we go from there. But you look at the Lazar story the last couple of years has come back to fruition. Okay, so all of these stories that are coming back now, they all need to be re-questioned and reinvestigated, because what's happening is as more of these stories go
Dave
out,
likes to talk, doesn't he?
and the more that we start nitpicking the information, it's opening up to a whole different realm of questions, and a whole different realm of people now could start to talk. Now we have to decipher the bullshit from the reality. Okay, there is no choice.
Dave's having a good rant, isn't he? But I think he finishes up now.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I don't see how this is relevant to what we were doing, you know. I mean, all we're doing is promoting these idiots. We're playing this. I can't stand the sight of flaming goof on, and I just don't know why we have to do it. I don't know what's relevant in here for us.
Do me a favor, message me after your show because we need to talk.
Well, I'll give me a half hour after, and then I'll message you.
The clip for the...
All right.
Sounds. Bye.
All right. Bye.
I think he plays it now, does he?
That was Dave Scott calling in. Very cool. Very good. There we go. Didn't think that was going to happen. Thanks for calling in, Dave. Wow, that was amazing. Very good points Dave was making there.
This Fox News thing.
Well, couldn't you just found the clip in Fox News? And
no, it's really hard to find.
And I think you're seeing
it
from people in the past exceeded anything that
what they're giving us could be very good.
It's a few.
May have physical evidence of, and we're quoting, off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
All right.
The government has also released footage of UFO sightings, including a 2004 encounter recorded from an advanced Navy fighter jet. Commander David Fravor is a retired naval aviator who once saw something he could not explain, that science can't explain. We're honored to have him on tonight. Mr. Fravor, thanks so much for coming on. So tell us if you think this is being misinterpreted. According to the New York Times, the U.S. government has physical evidence of some sort of vehicle made not on this Earth. Is it what it sounds like?
Well, it sounds that way to me, Tucker. I just, I never want to speculate what the government truly has, but I would say there's stuff out there. I mean, the four of us that chased the Tic Tac in 2004 will have attested to it multiple times that what we saw exceeded anything that we had in our inventory, far superior to the airplanes that we were flying in at the time they were brand new. So I would say, yes, there's something out there, and hopefully the government does have stuff.
So when we spoke before about this, and you suggested that the object you saw that you chased, the Tic Tac, behaved in ways that challenged your understanding of aeronautics, of physics, and that you didn't think it was likely that that object belonged to a foreign military. Do you think the U.S. government has concluded that this is not Russia, China, or some other country?
I'm pretty sure of that, just by some of the phone calls that we have gotten, some of the people that we have talked to in the government, that they are unaware of what this is. And I think that ties directly with the East Coast sighting with the gimbal video. And I'd be willing to say, just because I'm in contact with a lot of these people, that there are more incidents that are starting to come out, that people are starting to report inside the government channels of things that they've seen. And I think you're seeing it from people in the past, because it always had that taboo to come out and talk about these things. You're not finding people from the past that are saying, hey, I saw this, I just was never told to report it, or when I did, I was told not to say anything.
Yes.
So I think since 2017, the world is starting to change because of the publicity, because of the attention of the Senate and the Congress, because of people like Marco Rubio and the Intel Committee of telling the DOD.
Yeah, it's because of Marco Rubio since 2017.
Alright, so we can leave it there now.
Oh, thank God.
A lot of people wouldn't have heard all that though, Robert. So
yeah, but what did he actually say that was relevant to what we were doing tonight?
Come on, Robert. Do I have to go over it for you?
That was just a total distraction, Paul. I'll have to be honest. I don't like
talking about off-world vehicles in the article, mate. This is what it was referring to, and Dave Scott was talking about. Do I have to sum it up for you?
I just heard it all.
You may have heard it, but people dropping into the show may have not heard that Fox News clip.
Oh, that.
Which has followed on since the article was published.
Did he say anything new in that news clip at all? He was of the opinion. He was of the opinion.
Apart from off-world vehicles.
Oh, can you let me finish? Please. He was of the opinion from the beginning, from the outset, that this was off-world, what he's seen. So there was absolutely nothing added that was new there whatsoever.
Apart from him saying, yes, he believes I'm off-world. Which is what the article was talking about, which they tried to retract.
He said David Favor's name wasn't mentioned in the New York Times article at all.
No, but he's asking what he thought of it. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So where do you want to go now?
Well, we'll eventually start on one of these UFO cases, I guess.
I think we should do.
Don't blame me. Okay, we'll start with this Australian one first then. The White Takers, Rosedale.
The reason I played that goof on was to show up these double standards these guys are on, mostly.
Yeah, but all I'm saying, Paul,
and the comments that Dave made about the article were valid, about the editor and thing. But yeah, all this allegation about scientists not having qualifications and all that, I think they need to spit it out and give us the details, and else it's just another story, fake news.
Yeah.
But that's the why I played it.
But that's
I know you guys, I know all the hardcores out there probably already seen it and heard about it, but we're putting it together here into a condensed format for people like Charles and
the only thing, Paul, is anyone that's hardcore into ufology does not listen to those idiots.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I would not waste 5 minutes of my time listening to that channel. They're not worth my time.
Well, people do listen to Dave Scott, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, because he has some good guests on. And Dave Scott isn't too bad, but that goof on is just a buffoon.
And that's why I put it on, to show people that he is. Anyway.
Yeah, you should keep that to your debunking thing, do you know what I mean?
Well, whatever. You better give us a link.
I've left a link for you, Paul.
Was that the first one? Or was that the Australian one? Oh, this one here, same one.
Yeah.
I got a different link for it. That's all I could find. There wasn't really much around. Is your article better than this one, though? This one's really summary there.
Let's have a look at the one I've got. No, it's UFO Insight, and there's a fair bit to it, you know.
Okay, where do we start? That's not the start, is it? Can I get more than that? No, it's not going to let me. Alright, maybe.
The 1980 Whiteacres Rosedale UFO encounter. First published, October 6, 2018. Last updated, July 17, 2020. Written by Marcus Loth. Estimated
recently,
reading
then.
time, 6 minutes. Posted in UFOs, Close Encounters. One comment.
Only one.
An encounter shortly after midnight one evening in September 1980 on a farm in Victoria, Australia, would see a bizarre disc-shaped object land and retrieve the contents of the farm's water tank. All was witnessed by the on-site caretaker, and at close range to boot. Furthermore, corroboration of the event would come from a second witness. And over the weeks that followed, several similar sightings in the area would lend the report at the Whiteacre farm even more credibility.
Okay, we've got the table of contents to skip. Too much crap there.
A screeching whistle over the Whiteacre farm. In the early hours of September 30th, 1980, a little after 1 a.m. at the Whiteacres property near Rosedale, Victoria, Australia, the 54-year-old caretaker of the site was woken suddenly by a sound like a screeching whistle coming from outside the house. The cattle were also seemingly significantly spooked at whatever was happening, their bellowing constant in the background. Without dressing and wearing only his night clothes, he went to the back door to examine the cause of the commotion. He stepped outside and onto a wooden rail that ran immediately outside the house, so as to get a clear view of the farm's fields and outbuildings. It was then that the strange domed disc-shaped craft, flashing orange and blue lights, went across his field of vision from left to right. It was only 10 feet from the ground, and appeared to be no more than 500 feet away from him. He would estimate it to be around 25 feet in length. He continued to watch as the object moved over the land, passing between the outbuildings and trees as it did so. As he watched, he would note that although the object was brightly lit underneath, and gave out light, at its own height it didn't light up the ground below it. It then passed over the paddocks before coming to a stop hovering over a concrete 10,000-gallon water tank. It remained there for around a minute before descending towards the ground and coming to a stop. The caretaker quickly ran inside the house and quickly dressed. Then, he got on his Suzuki 100 motorbike, fired up the engine, and headed out across the fields. The Black Tube. Despite the surreal nature of the events unfolding around him, in his mind, he would cling to the idea that this strange aerial display was the work of cattle rustlers. There had, as it happened, been several cases of cattle rustling in the area over the previous months. When he stepped off his bike momentarily to open one of the field gates, though, he would see one of the farm's cattle close up. Not only was fear palpable in its eyes and demeanor, it was frothing at the mouth and quite obviously looked to take cover or hide. He jumped back on the bike and progressed through the field. Several moments later, he came to the paddock where the strange object had seemingly come down to the ground. He continued on, eventually coming to no more than 50 yards of the object when he brought his bike to a stop. He noticed a strange sensation run through his body. Whether it was his body's own response to the bizarre situation, or something more directly connected to the strange craft, his entire body was like a jelly on a plate. The whistling noise still screeched into the night air, now much louder due to his closer proximity. He would remain sat on his motionless bike, his hands covering his ears, such was the uncomfortable volume of it. He would take in as much detail as he could. The top half of the craft consisted of a white dome, while the bottom half was a distinct orange color. In this bottom section, he could make out circular windows or lights. Then, the noise suddenly morphed into an awful scream, and an ominous black tube emerged from the bottom section of the craft.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, this whistling sound that comes up so many times. I mean, it's not common, but it does happen quite often. And also, you've got that anxiety when witnesses claim to hear this and they kind of feel it as much as they hear it. They always feel like disturbed, chronic anxiety, even loss of control of their coordination has gone out the window. The second case we've got tonight also has, although they're miles apart, there's similarities. So we'll carry on with this. What's that map there?
I'm just going to bring up where they are.
Ah, yeah. I think it'll be farmland,
Well, I'm assuming there. It's got a road, highway for it. Yep, looks very green.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's a fairly big city there. You can see it's really dry though. One match and the whole place will burn, sort of thing.
Yeah. Arid landscape.
Yeah, so there's a lot of farmland here all over the place. So yeah, water tank, whereabouts it was, I don't know. But somewhere there.
Craft. Physical evidence left behind. As the tube continued outwards, a sudden bang rang out, followed by an immediate rush of hot air so powerful the caretaker almost lost his balance. As this was happening, the object was now rising from its position and heading slowly to the east. It moved upwards, and he could see the connection of the black tube to the underside of the craft at the center. When it was at a height of around 10 feet once again, and around 30 feet away from its position on the ground, it would suddenly go silent. The tube was no longer there. And it looked as though various objects were falling to the ground. He realized these objects were stones, capeweed and various other items that would have been in the area where the object landed. Starting the bike's engine, he rode over to the area the object had sat. Even with only the moon as a source of light, he could see a clear ring of black on the ground. He looked upwards and watched as the object continued to move to the east, eventually disappearing into the night sky. Confused, exhilarated, and awestruck at the same time, he turned his bike around and returned to the main house. When he arrived, he noticed the time was 1:50 a.m. As he made himself a cup of coffee, preparing to contemplate the evening's events, he noticed the time on his wristwatch. It showed 1:10. It had stopped at the time he was within the vicinity of the UFO. He took it off and reset it to the correct time, and placed it back on his wrist. 10 minutes later, it had stopped again. This would continue for several days, until the watch finally returned to normal working order. Entire contents of water tank drained. He would return to bed, fully dressed, but had little sleep.
But most of them are battery.
By 5 a.m. he went back outside and out to the paddock where the encounter had taken place. The black ring was still very visible. He also could see how the grass was pressed flat and tight to the ground in an anti-clockwise direction. Any flowers that were previously in this spot had all gone. Within the ring, he also noticed 6 spoke marks.
Stop it there, Paul,
These
at the
matched
end.
the several spokes he recalled seeing on the underside of the craft when it rose into the air.
Yeah. So, do you remember the one we covered, the Tully saucer nest? That was in Australia as well, but I'm damn sure that was 1966. So, what would that be? 14 years apart.
Yep.
And wasn't there water drained as well? And that same, was it clockwise or anti-clockwise pattern?
I don't know if it was water drained, but it went into the lake apparently.
Yeah, apparently
or it come out of the lake.
The level of the water had dropped significantly. I think that they were the words. To remember those words. But I'm sure this case is the one where the vat was drained completely.
And the weeds on the top were crushed down anti-clockwise. right? No,
That's right.
no, clockwise.
Yeah.
The weeds on the top of the lake were flattened clockwise, yeah. Which is opposite to tornado, I believe they said in that article. But that's a few live streams back now. A couple months now on it.
Yeah.
So people can go back and listen to that one. Australian abduction case, I think it was it?
No, it was the no, it wasn't it. There was no abduction. It was the Telly saucer nest. If you just type that into Google,
yeah, it's
you'll
a
find
UFO
that.
nest. So we called it UFO nest, Australian UFO nest. But anyway, carry on.
Air. He then walked along the direction the UFO had taken. He could see much of the debris that had fallen from the craft as it left. It seemed clear to the caretaker that the long tube appeared to be some kind of suction device. And furthermore, it then sent crashing back to the ground what it had taken but didn't want. With that in mind, it was perhaps no surprise, then, when the caretaker discovered later that morning that the entire contents of the water tank, all 10,000 gallons, was gone. The owner of the property would arrive on site at around 9 a.m. He would report the incident to the Gippsland Times newspaper immediately. They would ultimately run a front-page story in their October 1st, 1980 edition. Incidentally, while examining the site that morning, a truck driver walked over from his vehicle to speak with the caretaker. He claimed he had pulled over at the side of the road at just after 1 a.m. to rest. He also claimed that a strange object had followed him for some time, eventually stopping over his field. Cause for concern?
Yeah, so 10,000 gallons. I think Charles was commenting on this a little while back, wasn't he? You know, imagine the weight and the room it would take up on a craft that was only 25 meters in diameter.
Yeah, it'll take up all of it, I'd say.
What's the need for water?
The thing that causes life in the universe, probably. I don't know. It is certainly a most unique element that can be gas, solids, and stronger than steel when frozen, and it's got certain properties. It can be repelled. It can be repelled from magnets. If it's pure, it can be like an insulator. You can actually step in it with a power cord and not be killed. And it's only the calcium and other elements that's in water, if it's in there, if it's not distilled, that electrocutes you. So yeah, it's got some magic properties, water, and of course we're 70% water anyway in our bodies. It's mostly stored in the fat cells, I guess. But yeah, we're seeing die without water 3 days, I think. So yeah, water is a magical stuff for certainly carbon life forms anyway. Not sure about other possible life forms like silicon that they surmise could exist.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe Earth is so much easier to get the water than other planets they might be on at the moment that we are hiding out there in the solar system. Because everywhere else it'd be frozen, maybe, or maybe they just don't have enough water on them. Who knows?
Interesting.
It is small questions and answers as usual.
Yeah.
Concern? Perhaps the most intriguing or noteworthy aspect of the incident is the draining of the contents of the water tank. We have mentioned before, for example, that a considerable amount of UFO sightings take place over or near to a large body of water. This includes water reserves on land. 10,000 gallons, relatively speaking, is a small amount when compared to state water reserves, lakes,
Why didn't it just
and
take
even
seawater?
oceans.
There's plenty of that.
However, it appears obvious that it was very much the target of this strange object.
Because they can distill it.
It would make sense that the need for water would share a connection to the object's ability to travel. Is it used in the same manner we would use water in our cars and vehicles? Or is it perhaps utilized to create a form of propulsion? A more advanced and cleaner propulsion system? And how did the craft drain the contents so quickly? It would appear the black tube had somehow pierced the tank from the bottom upon later inspection. However, it would normally take 3 full days to fully drain the contents. This object managed to do so in less than an hour.
Super sucker.
Also interesting was the discovery of algae at the sides of the tank and on the roof. Almost as if the separation of impurities occurred before leaving the tank. Whether this was a simple resupply mission or not is open to debate. Perhaps how inconsequential we, or our collective water supplies, appear to be to those behind these strange aerial objects, is a more potent and required question.
Okay, so again, that sort of brings me back to the Mojo video that I asked to analyze from Who Took My Mojo. And that was only like a 3-minute video, and you could hear what sounded possibly like water pumps, and it was sucking up water, whatever it was gone in 3 minutes. So how much water it sucked up, we don't know. But again, it's in the same scenario, over a pond, accessing water. We hear quite a lot of these reports now about UFOs being under sea, under lakes, and all that sort of business. No. But why do they have to take the fresh water? Why can't they just take it straight from the sea where no one is? Because the sea's big and they can pretty much hide in the sea and suck all the water they want. So that's a strange question to try and solve, is why not just take the seawater and distill it, and then they got the salts as well as the water. Maybe they don't need the salt, but still, would there be that much salt in seawater that would add to the extra weight of it lifting off to another planet? So yeah, it's kind of strange, right? They'd want fresh water.
More questions and answers. It's a difficult one, and I'll tell you who's done a deep study on it. It's a guy called Carl Feint. He was a MUFON guy. He's passed away now, and I recently just bought his book. I've got it with me there now. If anyone can see it in the top right corner there.
Let's open you up.
Okay.
If I can.
Okay. There we go. Is that in full view? I don't know how clear.
It's not really clear for some reason. Not enough light in the room, I don't think.
Anyway, you can see it's a monster of a book. It's over 500 pages. It's entitled UFOs and Water. Now, I haven't had time to even start the book yet, but what I did do, I found a lecture of his on YouTube, and he came out with some really interesting stuff. But well, what we can do, hopefully, because it's a MUFON lecture, we might be able to play a little bit of it. But first of all, I need to pick out the best bits so we don't labour through it too much, Yeah.
You don't want to bore the people, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's quite scientific, but not. He tries to put it over in layman's terms. He's one of the few people who've actually done a deep dive into this connection with UFOs and water.
Yeah, you can't sum it up in 10-minute videos, guys. This is why you do podcasts and live shows.
Just can't. You just can't.
The video below looks at UFO sightings over water, and what the reason might be for this. Disclaimer. The stories, accounts,
got to the end.
We're done.
All right. Okay. Thought we had a bit more to go. I thought they were going to talk about skeptics on the case. I like some skeptics here. Where's Phil Class when you need him?
Whoa, Wes Snipes. I know this might sound crazy, but they could be stealing water for people they captured to keep alive. Maybe. Hey.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
Jesus. I can't dismiss that. I don't know. It's possible, isn't it?
They may be seen in another planet, is what I've always said. All these abductions and stuff.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I know Earth is not going to last, and so they need a second Earth to preserve the life. So they're in the forest collecting various life forms to try and save them. Maybe something big's going to happen and we're all going to get roasted by the sun exploding. Oh no, fear mongering. Well, we don't know when we're going to die, but yeah, scary to think what could happen to the world. Big asteroid just coming our way or whatever. If you're in space like that, you probably can map out a lot more what's going to happen in advance. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be like a supernova that ejects radiation towards us. There's no way we're going to stop that, and not even the atmosphere. So maybe we're all going to, our heads will explode off our head as it gets cooked like a microwave.
Charming, Paul. Charming.
Yeah. Just putting some visual effects into your heads there. You won't be able to sleep now. You'll be thinking about it. But yeah, you got to be careful because there are a lot of sensitive people out there that sort of worry about this stuff, especially religious people, and they go and commit suicide and stuff. It may not be for thousands of years still to come, right? They might know the Earth's going to end, but you still might have 1,000 years. So they're just doing a safeguard of backing up life and still going to try and save this one. Who knows? So yeah, it's not all doomsday predictions. But yeah, maybe that's why they want most of the resources off the planet. They might need the nuclear uranium, they might need the gold and all that sort of stuff. They want to grab it all the stuff that's hard to get on other planets. Perhaps Earth is pretty unique in what it's got.
Yeah, apparently it is extremely dense in mineral content.
And of course, the DNA is probably unique too. So who knows? Maybe our DNA is better suited for space travel. Who knows? Trying to figure out why we're better than them, but they're more intelligent than us.
People say, "Oh, why would they ever come to why would they ever come here?" Well, there's 101 reasons why they could.
Well, according to Ronnie Dawson, they have been, and they all got different races. He's the guy that's the guy that had sex with a leopard lady or tiger lady.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got another link to go, have we? I better copy it across. So does this carry on for the same story or something new?
This is a new case, yeah. But it's got some similarities.
Is that the Chester one? Is it River? So we've gone from Australia
Cheshire.
all the way over to this location.
England.
Old England. Where's the marker on it gone?
Yeah, you can see Chester there.
Can we? Manchester.
And it's down from Manchester. You can see Cheshire there.
Let's just put over the satellite.
It's just below Liverpool, Paul.
It's
there? About 20, 30 miles below Liverpool. There you go.
I'll just zoom in again. There you go. It's adjusted it.
There's the historical city.
Yeah, and again, it's near the sea again. You notice, just like the last one's near the sea, and green, a lot of green everywhere. And away from the big cities, of course. Which is another key connection there.
The River Weaver UFO Humanoid Incident. First published, March 19th, 2020. Last updated, July 17th, 2020. Written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time, 6 minutes. Posted in Aliens
6 minutes.
Encounters.
Ain't gonna last long on this one.
A multiple witness UFO incident in January 1978 in Cheshire, in England, is perhaps little known outside the UFO community, but is also one of the most intriguing on record. Not only does the incident feature multiple witnesses, but it hints at being involved in the cattle mutilation cases, many of which gripped the United States and parts of Europe in the late 1970s.
Okay, we've got a table of contents to skim past, have we? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've still got a wee bit to go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that super scroll. I've tried to stop it, but it keeps coming back.
Furthermore, the apparent extraterrestrial intelligence behind the strange craft they witnessed land in a clearing along the River Weaver was almost identical to a human. And what's more, appeared to be involved in some kind of intelligence gathering program. This is interesting as many other cases of humanoid
Humans, no
occupants also
intelligence.
offer very similar details. The 4 witnesses, as we shall see, would remain anonymous mainly due to the fact that admittance to their presence on the land where the bizarre scene played out would have been an admission of breaking the law, which only added another level of complexity to the case, and the reporting of it. The account appeared in the volume 26/03 1980 edition of Flying Saucer Review, investigated by Jerry Randalls and Paul Wetnall.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
Jenny Randalls, I was supposed to say.
All right. Okay, we can select the rest of it now. Oh, we got some pictures. Oh. And we got some similar cases, by the looks of it. Oh, we got a disclaimer there.
Poaching in the Devil's Garden, Cheshire, England. On the particularly
why the
cold
devil?
evening of January 27, 1978, at a little before 6 p.m., 4 young men would be witness to bizarre events near the banks of the River Weaver in Cheshire. And what's more, because of the reasons they were there in the first place, to hunt pheasant on a farmer's land, essentially,
Yeah, stop that.
poaching, they would not only think twice about reporting the incident, they would most certainly insist on anonymity following their report.
Yeah, Devil's. The reason it's called that, Devil's Garden, is because it's steeped in legends and all kinds of supernatural kind of stuff has been happening there over decades.
It's not because you're
not
living
just
there.
decades. Oh no! I'm about where am I from Chester? I'm about 80 miles from Chester.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a history. It goes back centuries, to medieval times, and even beyond. You know.
Yeah, there's the underground tunnels and worship the devil and sacrifices
Mm-hmm.
and all that sort of stuff. New World Order, guys. Oh no, we've lost the ads. Actually, we have actually lost the ads even before we started, I think. But anyway.
Why?
Report.
I don't know. They
Whether a
always take it away
coincidence
from
or
me.
not, the 4 men in question were at a spot along the river known as Devil's Garden, a place that has several local legends attached to it. It was while the 4 men were stood looking out over the water, when one of them noticed a strange object seemingly skimming along the surface of the water.
Sounds like you're sighting.
Because of a recent news story of a Soviet satellite that had crashed to Earth in Canada, the witnesses believed this is what they were seeing. However, the more they watched the mysterious object, now over the ground at a height of now more than 20 feet, the more they realized it was seemingly under control as opposed to falling out of the sky. As the object passed them, the witnesses could hear a light humming sound. However, more than this, and a discrete
the
detail that
humming, that's
surfaces
very
in other
regular,
UFO
isn't it?
reports, there was a strange noise very similar to rushing wind. And what's more, this wind-like
Russian wind.
noise made all 4 men feel decidedly uneasy.
And static sound.
A
is another one.
silver-suited humanoid emerges. All 4 watched the object, a silver, spherical craft, as it descended down fully to the ground and landed near to the group. They would estimate that it was around 15 feet in size, and had flashing lights along the side. Furthermore, there were window-like areas along the craft,
These UFOs,
out of which a very
flashing
strange
lights
glow
are
seeped out from
strange.
inside. The men would state that this light hurt their eyes to look at it for any prolonged length of time.
Yeah.
From their descriptions, investigators determined it was likely an ultraviolet-type light. Despite this illumination from inside the object, however,
Roberts
the witnesses
sent us
couldn't
some
see
money.
anything of the inside, which appeared fuzzy from where they stood. Still unsure what it was, the fuzziness made them think of radiation poisoning, which caused them to begin in the opposite direction. Before they could, though, they noticed a figure emerge from the strange object. They each
figure.
stopped in their tracks to watch events unfold.
Oh, here we go.
The figure was distinctly humanoid in every
Cow
way,
thieves.
and was wearing a one-piece silver suit. On his head was a round helmet with a violet light on the top of it. As the figure turned its head,
Strange
the
looking
area
ship.
became bathed in the helmet light's glow.
Bit
The
like
men
the
continued
Kicksburg
to
one,
watch
actually.
as the humanoid examined his surroundings. They would follow the direction of his stare, through the wash of the light, which soon fell upon a herd of cows in a nearby field. All three stood still, the figure, the herd of cows, and the 4 witnesses.
Stop it when you
Then,
get a
the
chance,
strange
Paul.
figure returned back inside the object.
All right,
Hints
got
at
another
cattle
picture.
mutilation? A moment later, however.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, what a strange case. And the funny thing is, silver suits and humanoid. Tall humanoid. Now, 1977, 1978 was a big year in Wales for these humanoid sightings. Remember, we covered the Welsh Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also that case in Llanrhymnedd as well. They were like in silver suits. And
So
as
I
you
have
can see
another.
there, helmet type thing is almost a part of the suit. It's almost like a hood. That's how it's described it.
You know, we talked about the water before. Now they're stealing cattle. Remember how they talked about cattle mutilations, taking away the sexual organs? Well, in that will be sperm and eggs and all that sort of stuff, right? Makes you wonder if they're collecting food for the off-world planet, right? For the humans that are abducted. Beef is obviously one of the best foods for humans, so maybe they're taking back samples, cattle, to try and populate a new world for feeding the population that's been abducted, the people that haven't been returned, like. So yeah, it could be a connection, you know, another connection there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out the answers eventually. You know what they're trying to do. If they said they were seeding another planet, they didn't have to do it in covert. They could have easily come towards us and said, "Look, we want to populate some other planets and help you get there." Maybe they just don't want people to have the bad people there. You know, like the people that want to start wars and. Where we can ever stop humans fighting each other, I don't know if it would ever happen, but yeah. What do people think about that one? So yeah, sorry, you were going to say something as well.
That whistling sound again, and the uneasiness they felt, and of course they were a bit slow to come forward with this because they were poaching.
Yeah.
You could have got them into a whole heap of trouble.
Yep. Yeah, and of course these people in suits might actually be humans themselves. They might just come down with the aliens in the ship, and they knew what to do to herd the cattle and just get it into the ship and take it away. You know, silver suits sounds like something that they would wear if they don't want to contaminate themselves with bacteria. So maybe they've contaminate what they take from Earth, not infect other planets with killer viruses. Oh no, is that a banned word? The C-19 or whatever. Of course, Shelley, she was on the farm too, so yeah, this seemed to be a lot of farm-related ones. I don't know if they had any animals disappear around her property or not, so there's more to the story. Anyway, I suppose we better carry on.
However, the figure emerged once more from the craft. This time, though, another second humanoid, dressed in the same attire, joined him. In their hands was a large silver cage. It appeared to be made of a metal of some kind. The figures, however, carried it as though it were extremely light. They were heading in the direction of the herd of cows. They would approach one of the animals, which appeared completely frozen to the spot, and placed the cage around it. The humanoids appeared to move pieces of the metal into position. The men were not sure if they were measuring it or preparing it for transportation. However...
Sorry?
Yeah, fine. Now, yeah, the cows seemed to be basically in a trance. It wasn't kicking and fighting and screaming like it you'd expect a cow to do, and an animal that big, I can tell you. You know, I live in a farming area; they can get out of hand pretty quickly. One hell of a job restraining one of them. Now, think back to the Skinwalker Ranch. Remember those bulls? that suddenly appeared, disappeared, and then reappeared.
Inside a container.
It was in, where did they reappear? It was in, damn it, I can't remember now.
It was a old car container, I think, that was turned into a shed.
Yeah, that's it. And they were all in a trance when they found them.
Yeah, and they're all crammed in there.
Yeah, which should have been impossible.
Now, why would the aliens make such a silly mistake like that, though? That's kind of weird.
There's some things going on.
Unless they're interrupted when they're about to take the whole car crate with the cattle in it as like an easy transport. Who knows? I suppose. More questions than answers again.
Yeah.
What do you say on the side here? I haven't caught up on the side chat much. Yeah, don't keep your money to yourself. Money's not that important. That's the viewers. We want the viewers. We want people joining in more than the money. Anyway, because we need to educate people out there and just get them into UFOs again. This is the idea. We want them to forget all the crap out there.
You still need money for maintenance, Paul.
Yeah, we need money, but I've done it for 4 years by myself. I think you're fading in and out there a wee bit again. Maybe just drop in and out. Are you having problems with the screen corrupting at all? Notice he was clipping out a wee bit. He sounded alright though.
Okay, I'm back now. Is that any better? Yeah, the screen is nice and clear.
Okay, cool. Let's just carry on, do we? Or do you want to say something else?
No, that's good. Yeah, good to go.
Okay.
However, they didn't wait to see what happened next as the urge to run became too great. They would continue running until they reached a bridge which allowed them to cross back over the river. By the time they did, they could see nothing more of the strange craft or the two humanoids. One of the witnesses, however, would later describe to investigators of a strange pulling sensation as he was running, as if an invisible force was dragging him back. This was particularly so on his testicles, which he would declare remained sore for several days following the incident. Furthermore, he would notice red markings, which were also painful to touch, on his upper legs. The case remains unexplained, and the identity of the 4 witnesses remains unknown.
You gotta laugh at Google, though.
1978, a year of unusually high UFO activity. We have examined previously that 1978 was a year of unusually high UFO activity. And this was not only in the United Kingdom, but around the world. The UK, however, did experience several, at the time, well-publicized cases.
And of course you got the New Zealand case.
And these were not only of UFO
yeah,
sightings, but of interaction with the occupants of these strange crafts. Some cases were outright cases of alien abduction. Perhaps most well-known were the cases of the Mann family and the Day family, both of whom would claim to have experienced alien abduction during 1978. And both of whom would undergo their respective encounters in quiet, country-like settings, in the evening. Some researchers, mainly general skeptics, but not all, point to the release of the blockbuster movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, here we go.
Although the film was not released in the United Kingdom until early March, publicity for the film was rampant pretty much from the start of the new year.
Star Wars as well.
And increasingly so in the weeks leading up to eventual release. Might this have had an effect on the populace of the United Kingdom? It is certainly possible in terms of sightings only. Many more people indeed might have been looking upward with an increased interest in such matters. However, especially when there are multiple witnesses concerned, cases of close contact, interaction, and alien abduction are a little harder to explain as merely a subconscious response to a popular movie. The River Weaver case is one that is perhaps easy to dismiss. We don't know the names of the witnesses, there is no physical proof of the incident. And the 4 decades that have passed since make it increasingly unlikely that any new or revealing information about the case will surface. What was happening in the UK in 1978? It is also worth noting, though, as reported by Randalls and Wetnall,
I
that
can't
several
even remember
similar
what was
sightings
happening in New
in
Zealand
and
then,
around the United
apart from
Kingdom
the
were reported
Kaikoura
around the
lights.
same time as the River Weaver case. For example, on January 2nd, a report surfaced of a silver-suited figure in Rainford in the Merseyside region of England. Even more intriguing, on January 18th, several school children witnessed and reported a small UFO. The strange craft would land on top of their school.
We know this one.
What's more, 3 astronauts then emerged from the craft. They were again wearing one-piece suits, this time golden. However, given that the incident occurred during the day, it might be that the golden color was a reflection of the sun. We should note this is speculation on our part. However, where its value does lie, much like other similar obscure cases, is in the details.
Yeah.
Details that might appear insignificant to begin with, but resonate with many of us who recognize them in other cases. Not least the humanoid figures themselves, the one-piece silver suits, and the feeling that they were gathering information from their locations. As ever, the real question that lies at the heart of such incidents is why. For what purpose of such information-gathering missions? Might the humanoids have not been from an alien race at all but human beings from Earth? Themselves part of a clandestine operation. What if this was to be the case? Does this present us with an avenue to travel down as far as cattle mutilation cases are concerned? While it is not a revelatory idea, might it be that such cases are top-secret government experiments? Check out the video below. It looks at some of the strangest cases of close encounters on record.
Okay, I think we got to the end. And we've lost Roberts. It's only a strange looking UFO. I'm not sure how they're going to fit that cow in that little device. Maybe they shrink them down. Maybe it's got like a Stargate inside, where it opens up a portal and it sends it into a multiverse. Maybe that's more like it, a UFO with a portal generating opening. Who knows? It'd be like Doctor Who then. Infinite space inside. Could be a portable Stargate. Are you there, Roberts? He's not with us. He's got it muted, I think. Got it muted. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yeah, all good now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying there's not much room in that saucer for that cow to get fit into.
No.
Looking at that picture there. So I was suggesting maybe it's not really a flying craft to take stuff, but maybe it's got some sort of Stargate inside the device that opens up a portal where they can just enter in the craft and then just take it through into another universe. Maybe because maybe they're not seeing another planet in our solar system or whatever universe, but maybe they're seeing a duplicate Earth in a multi-universe. Because we've often talked about that before, what paranormal and ghosts are, and aliens being connected and all that sort of business. Maybe Bigfoot liked beef as well, right? Probably reindeer. Because Bigfoot are meant to be like aliens as well, aren't they? So, who knows? More questions than answers, as I keep saying.
God only knows, but it's whatever it is, it's not in black and white terms.
I think we could probably write a good movie script out of all the stuff that we've heard over the last this year alone. Anyway, how they're coming down, taking kids from schools, or trying to get them to come, and all that sort of business. Maybe when they come down to visit the school kids, they actually put a marker on them, some sort of gas marker, because now they can sort of do that now, can't they? Like a microscopic nano trackers. Then they come and keep visiting in their own homes later on. So what's Shelley saying there? So what do we got next? Have we got more on this case, or?
No, we're pretty much done with that. I tried to look for surplus material on that case, and there wasn't much available. There's a few
hard to find,
websites that were covering it, but there was no real follow up to that. It's just the story of those 3 lads, and that's it. Okay, so it was swamp gas. This is the case that Hyneks wish had never happened, as he ended up regretting this for the rest of his life.
Disclosure, soft disclosure you're talking about there. Comes in slowly. Hey, someone said I was right about something. How about that?
Jesus.
I know, that's a rare comment.
Why, what was said? Was it Mike?
I can't remember. I'm just scrolling up on the ad, so I'm not too sure whereabouts. So I was just making comments, but anyway. So we got a link to go.
Yep.
And one thing we can be sure is that we got the hardcore followers out of 2 million people worldwide. So the whole 6 of them here at the moment.
Yeah.
The people that wants to hear about other cases rather than the standard stuff going around. Hopefully we got all that out of our work now in the last 2 lives, so we don't have to go back to it, hopefully, unless there's something new and finally the government admits stuff. So this is the one that wasn't on the list, was it? Michigan swamp gas. So we might have to modify our description to include some extras. So we're done 2 hours and 11 minutes at the moment, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I think we can do this case and then maybe
Michigan,
another one.
1966, the swamp gas incidents. First published, September 8th, 2018. Last updated, July 17th, 2020. Written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time, 6 minutes. Posted in UFOs.
Another one that's
Close
recently
Encounters.
updated.
3 comments.
3 comments, this one.
In March 1966, a wave of UFO sightings would hit the Ann Arbor region of Michigan, causing the eyes of the entire country to turn their attention to the Wolverine State. One particular incident over the swamplands of a family-run farm would prove to be the most detailed of all the sightings on record. And certainly, the one with the closest proximity between the witness and the apparent craft from elsewhere in the cosmos.
Okay. It'll take long to read that. We've got a table of contents here we have. I'll just get it before then.
The incidents, while perhaps being some of the most credible and multi-witnessed events on record, would also give rise to the swamp gas explanation. An explanation not only all but disproven, but also one which J. Allen Hynek would later admit to declaring due to pressure from the U.S. Air Force to supply a mundane explanation for the incident. That in itself should tell us that the incidents likely occurred how the witnesses said they had. It also provides us with an insight into the U.S. government's mindset regarding the apparently open investigation into such sightings. Before we move on, check out the short video below. It features news clippings of the time looking at the mini UFO wave of March 1966 over Michigan.
Have we covered that one before, though?
No.
I wonder what TV show that's from.
That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe have a quick look at it when it comes time.
Let's have a quick... Oh, looks like it's really old, but probably still under copyright. Hang on, let me just open it in another tab. Then we can have a look. Where's it from? Doesn't say, does it? Bobby Gooner, whoever that is.
Small channel, yeah.
So it's probably it would be good here. It said it's has a copyright claim on it under the video, so then we'd know for sure that you can play it, but you'll get a claim on it, and you won't be able to make money on your live show. You can see here, it looks like it's been stretched. But yeah,
Saucers are nothing new. From the beginning of recorded time.
God, it looks really old, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With it. But it is 1966 black and white TV.
It depends if you can get the witness
Yeah.
statement,
that
you
guy
know.
there.
There we
Who's
go.
that one?
Yeah. It's one of the witnesses.
To wooded swamplands by night.
Well, first beginning, we were watching television, and we have 6 dogs here, and they started raising a fuss, in which they never do much. So I went outside and gave a yell at them, and as I turned around to come back on the porch, I looked to the north of me, and looked like a fallen star. It was red and kind of coming down, and on about a 45, and so then I watched it, and I was going to see if it landed, and then maybe go down and see what it was. And when it got to the top of the trees, it stopped, and a blue and a white light come on it. And I looked at it, and I thought I was seeing things.
Frank Manner's UFO remained over his swamp more than 4 hours. His children saw it, his in-laws saw it, residents of the area saw it, the police saw it. No one photographed it, but Sergeant Newell Schneider of the Sheriff's Office remembered it well enough to draw it.
No, it moved very rapidly at any speed, or rather any direction it wanted to go. Why, it could change and go to the right or the left or go crossways without hesitating a bit.
What do you think it was?
Well, if they call it a flying saucer, that's what it is.
40 miles away, another swampland and another UFO sighting. This is Hillsdale, and the girls at Hillsdale College had a night to remember.
Well, when I was looking out the window with the binoculars, I guess it was about 12, I saw it, and I saw 2 red lights, and I saw what looked to be shaped like a pie. I could just see the front of it, and I just saw the round front, and I could see the lights on either side. And then the red light was sort of casting a glow over the whole thing, so it looked like a round disc.
Sounds like
First, when
a
I'd heard the
UFO
other
that
girls
we
talk
used to
about it,
hear
I didn't
about.
really... I believed them, yet I couldn't really make myself comprehend it because
Hey, my mum had
I hadn't
that
seen it with
whip.
my own eyes. But then when I saw it, I just was fascinated. I wasn't afraid. I just wanted to stay there and keep my eyes glued to it. I couldn't.
Haircuts.
I know, I saw it.
I know, it reminds me of looking at Mum's photographs in her day in 66, and they had all the same crazy hairstyles.
But, and I mean, I know myself I saw it, but I believe I saw it, but I can't fathom it because it seems so unreal.
William Van Horn.
So it sounds like UFOs have been going. This proves that the UFOs have been around for a long time, because it's exactly the same as what we hear in other stories. You know, the lights around the outside and blah blah blah. It looks like a pie.
Yeah.
Hillsdale's undertaker and civil defense.
So what's the thing with the swamp gas? How can a swamp gas look like a pie with flashing lights on it, right? Unless they're suggesting that the swamp gas causes hallucinations like a drug. That would be what I was...
No. Some kind of chemical effect it is from the swamp.
Yeah.
It's actually been proven in a lab, but it's never actually been seen ever or photographed.
Yeah, I can't see it like it creating a UFO shape and stuff. It'd have to be like some sort of LSD effect or something, you know.
But the only reason Hyneks came up with that is because he was under pressure from the Air Force to come up with something to explain it, you know, because it was multiple witness and it was causing a little bit of alarm. So they had to come up with something. And at this stage, they already had far too many cases that weren't explained, that they had to find a way of explaining the majority of them because it wasn't looking good.
Yeah, I'd like to see the experiment with the swamp gas, though, as you say.
Yeah, it's only ever been done in the lab.
Yeah, I haven't even seen the lab experiment to prove that how UFO could be mistaken as swamp gas. Have you got the actual experiment on a video on that at all?
I don't know. I've never thought of that. That's possible. I'm not sure, but all I know is it can produce lights. How it can produce a structured craft, I'll never know. Well, it's nonsense, isn't it?
I think it's crazy, but anyway.
Defense director, also spotted the UFO and was out with his Geiger counter next day, checking a mysterious perfect circle where the
Who would have a Geiger counter back in those days? I suppose it was like the Reds under the bed and everybody bought devices maybe. Just like we buy EMF meters now and stuff.
Yeah.
UFO had been seen. Van Horn did not find any radioactivity here, but this did not shake his certainty that he had seen a hovering vehicle with 2 lights. Many people asked him why he did not go right up to the UFO in the dark.
I'd much rather be a live coward than a dead hero. And with the area of uncertainty that we have here, how do I know but what maybe there's a current, a little electrical charge which is being radiated by one of these vehicles which would electrocute you if you got within a certain area of it. There was no sound whatsoever. I could not hear a bit of sound.
The Air Force sent its chief scientific consultant on UFOs, Professor J. Allen Hynek, to check the Michigan sightings.
There he is.
Dr. Hynek agreed that the good citizens of Michigan had seen something in the marshlands. He thought they had seen marsh gas. Frank Manor, the Michigan farmer who had brought in the first report, was caught in the middle. He was mad.
Well, you can look at here. Look, beer bottles thrown. Look at my windshield. What would you think if somebody was throwing beer bottles at your house, standing out in the middle of the road screaming, you nut, you're fanatic, and all that? What would you think?
Are you sorry now that you did tell people what you saw?
Yes, I am. I am sorry because not that it's not the truth, but it's just the idea, the reaction of the people. They think you're a nut. Tell you the truth, that's just what they figure you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take it anymore. I don't want nobody down in here. I just leave me alone. And if the thing lands right there by that pump, I'd never say a word. And he got out and talked to me, I wouldn't tell nobody. That's just the way I feel. I'm bitter and disgusted in the whole matter. And if people's going to act like that, I hope one lands right in Ann Arbor, right in the middle of Detroit.
If flying saucers had become a painfully closed subject to Frank Manor, they nevertheless remained an intriguing open subject to millions of his countrymen.
Mr. Ford, what about flying saucers? You've had some in Michigan in the past week. Do you really believe in flying saucers? You've called for a congressional investigation. Dave, we've had several
They're trying that now.
incidents in Michigan in the last week.
How many years?
Incidents that many reliable,
Another 60 years on.
felt were sufficient to justify some action by our government, and not the kind of flippant answer that was given by the Air Force, where they passed it off as a swamp gas. The Congress should investigate the rash of...
So we can leave it there, I suppose. And
yeah,
that was a good
Ford
segment.
was, yeah, that was well worth playing. That actually, Paul.
Yeah, it was.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, Ford was another president that was UFO minded, but as soon as he got in, he soon changed his mind. But I think we're in a better place now in 2020 than what we were in 1966. And of course, Hynek never really lived that swamp gas thing down, you know.
No, he never did.
Even when he came on side, you know, at a later date, towards the end of Blue Book, from about 63, 64, he was on the turn then. You know, he was a believer then. And of course, he finished his term with Blue Book, and he went into ufology, didn't he?
Yeah.
The Allen Hynek Center for UFO Studies. He opened that, but there were some people that just wouldn't converse with him. They never forgave him.
No. And they're meant to be finishing that series off, aren't they, on History Channel soon? September, is it?
No. It's been disbanded.
I thought there was more episodes to come.
That's the wrong word. You mean Blue Book?
Yeah, I thought the show was only halfway through. It was mid-season. I thought they're going to finish it off with the last 10 episodes. Or
okay. All right. Yes. Okay. You're right there. But the third series has been that's been
cancelled.
scrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens in Antarctica. Yeah, I want to see if it has that black building that Linda Moulton Howe's talking about. You never know.
Geez.
You never know if they're going to include that, actually.
But at least the first series was based on real cases, although they were like highly embellished. And you know, the second series they were just making up cases that, which was a shame.
Mm.
But it still had good viewing figures, so I'm not really sure why they threw it on
it's
the
kind
scrap
of
heap.
like in the newest season. It was less based on real cases, which were making a
as
real
long
cock
as
up
you
of.
know it's just entertainment, it's fine. You know that once you start believing, well, you got to be a little bit silly, simple to kind of believe anything that was on Blue Book. I mean, right from the very first case, it was, you know, God, Jesus, it was pure fantasy.
Yeah.
Early reports of fast-moving lights. The first reports began to come into several Washtenaw County Police Departments from just before 4 a.m. on the March 14, 1966. Deputies Bushrow and Foster would report seeing several disc-shaped objects with star-like colors of red and green. They were moving across the black early morning sky with great speed.
I don't know what it is, though.
They also performed extremely sharp turns, unlike any known aircraft. By 4:04 a.m., Livingston County Sheriff's Department would confirm the sighting and would send extra patrol cars to Bushrow and Foster's location. Within the next 10 minutes, 2 more police departments, Ypsilanti and Monroe County, also confirmed sightings of the strange objects. At 4:20 a.m., Bushrow and Foster would report a further 4 objects of the same description. Just over half an hour later, at 4:54 a.m., they would report another 2 objects. All traveled the same route. Monroe County Police Department would begin receiving calls from concerned citizens of the strange high-speed lights overhead. Selfridge Air Force Base would further confirm anomalies over nearby Lake Erie. By 6:15 a.m. the objects appeared to have disappeared, and the incident over. Deputies Bushrow and Foster would make a formal joint statement regarding their sightings. They would claim it to be the strangest thing we have ever witnessed, and that they would not have believed this story if we hadn't seen it with our own eyes. Bushrow would further add to the media that the object would swing back and forth like a pendulum. It would then shoot upwards at tremendous speed, hovering in midair before descending again just as fast.
Yeah.
3 days later, in the March 17th, at a similar time of 4:25 a.m., Sergeant Newell Schneider and Deputy David Fitzpatrick witnessed several strange objects hovering and rising in a purposeful fashion in the sky. 3 days later, things got stranger. Strange object over Manor Farm. On the evening of the March 20th, perhaps the most well-known of all the incidents on record would unfold. Farmer Frank Manor was returning home following his usual walk with the family dog, Kazar. He planned some quality time with his wife and son, and was looking forward to a hearty meal.
You could always have a dog.
As he entered his property, he noticed a strange light in the sky. It was a considerable distance away, however, and after a moment's glance, he shut the front door and thought no more about it. Until Kazar began to bark, obviously agitated, that is. After several minutes, Frank and his son, Ron, would go outside to investigate. And to calm the now worked-up animal. As soon as they stepped out into the front yard, they could see the strange light above them. It was now closer than when Frank first witnessed it. And it was descending. The pair remained stationary and braced themselves for the aftershock of the apparently imminent impact. Then, in the most bizarre fashion, the object stopped dead and remained motionless over the treetops of the woodland opposite the Manor family home. The wood described the craft as a domed oval with a quilted or waffled exterior. Lights also flashed from the middle and at each end. After several moments, Frank quickly raced inside.
Sounds very similar to the Australian
With the
one.
object still hovering silently,
English one.
he called the Washtenaw police to report the sighting. Then, he and Ron set out towards the swamps to where the strange craft came down.
Well,
Frank
it
Manor's
doesn't
sketch.
look like the same thing. Let's
I
just
disappear-
pause it. So what does it look like? All right. Kind of strange looking. But I guess it's typical of a flying saucer, so it has got a flat bottom. It doesn't look like a snow globe, as Shelley, was it Shelley that was saying inside to the last one?
Yeah, like the one at Devil's Garden.
Yeah. Okay.
Disappearing and reappearing brilliant light. The two police officers who received the call to investigate the strange light over the manor farm were deputies Stanley McFadden and David Fitzpatrick. They would pull up their patrol car near the manor's land, and then proceed on foot through the swampy grounds. It wasn't long before they too witnessed the strange light for themselves. As they approached the woodland, a brilliant light was visible which dimmed in brilliance as they approached it. It would then appear again. Then disappear. Appear once more. Then disappear once again.
Shame we didn't have smartphones back
On the
then.
other side of the swampland, Frank and Ron Manor were significantly closer to the lights. So close, in fact, they could see it was a distinctly solid object.
Yeah.
Frank would estimate it to be the size of a car, with a cone-shaped top and a flat underside. It had appeared directly in front of them, seemingly out of nowhere. The whole area around them lit up as if someone had suddenly flicked a switch and caught them in a searchlight. A strange mist appeared to emerge from its underside, changing from green to red to white in sympathy with the intense glow of the craft's lights. Then it vanished.
Just a cable.
A few seconds later it appeared again with equal suddenness, but in a different spot to where it was only moments before. This continued several times before the craft then took off at breakneck speed. As it did, and unbeknown to Frank and Ron, it passed directly over the officers McFadden and Fitzpatrick. The Hillsdale County College sighting. At just after 10:30 p.m. the following evening, a student at the new women's dormitory at Hillsdale College would report that a strange craft had descended near their dormitory before disappearing. The student would report that the strange object had flashing lights of red, green, and white. Furthermore, as well as herself, there were 16 other students who had witnessed the incident. A half hour later, the same student again contacted the Civil Defense Office stating that the strange craft had suddenly reappeared and was now hovering close to the ground near their dormitory. The person who had taken both calls was the Civil Defense Director for Hillsdale County, William Van Horn. He would notify the police department, who would send 3 patrol cars to the location. Van Horn himself would also make his way to the apparently otherworldly events currently unfolding. When he arrived at the dormitory, he was taken to the room where the sighting was made. When he looked out of the window, he immediately saw a strange object hovering or resting in a hollow on the ground. He noticed a dim orange light that would glow brighter, eventually turning a red, and then to a full white. Suddenly, the strange object began to move, rising slightly into the air, hovering, and then descending again. As it moved, the glow allowed him to make out very definite details of a solid structure. Both Van Horn and several of the students and staff remained at the scene observing the bizarre movements of the glowing crafts. The last sighting of them came just after 4:30 a.m., when they simply disappeared. Somebody has kept something quiet. Whatever did take place over the skies of southern Michigan in the 3rd week of March 1966, it is highly unlikely that swamp gas is responsible. Aside from the multiple sightings, including the extremely close-up viewing by the Manors, there were particularly strong winds in the area around the 20th and March 21st which would have prevented any such gas forming in the first place. It would disperse before having a chance to form a mass. Higher than normal levels of radiation, and the presence of boron at the locations of the Manor Farm and Hillsdale College sightings are also strong indicators of a nuts and bolts unidentified craft. Perhaps more damning, though, for the official swamp gas explanation, is the insight offered by the County Sheriff of Washtenaw at the time of the sightings, Douglas Harvey. Speaking with the Ann Arbor News 3 decades after the incident, he would recall a conversation with Hyneks in the immediate moments before the official explanation was given. According to Harvey, he and Hyneks were speaking of the strange sightings in the sheriff's office. The investigator declared that it was his view that the sightings were very much worth further investigation. Furthermore, he had no idea what the witnesses had seen, but he believed they had witnessed something. Their conversation was interrupted around this point as Hynek received a phone call, which would last for quite a while.
Okay.
Upon the mysterious conversion ending, Hynek would suddenly state that what the witnesses had seen was swamp gas. And that was that. Hynek placed a sudden phone call to Washington, D.C., and then would give his official statement. According to Harvey, somebody has kept something quiet. Check out the video below, which looks at the 1966 Michigan UFO sightings a little further.
Okay, I've got a sandwich here.
Yeah, no problem. So, this is what you call an isolated flap. Just privy to one geographical area that happened over several weeks, and it was quite intense. It never ceases to amaze me, and I'm absolutely convinced of the reality of UFOs, but it never ceases to amaze me how there just isn't more pictures, more photographs out there than there's. I just think people are quite often in awe when they see these things, and the last thing on their mind is to actually take a photograph, and when they do, when you do get one, they tend to come out a little bit on the crappy side, don't they?
Yep.
I don't know. It's almost like these things don't want to be captured. Yeah, Cheshire UFOs. Hide and seek world champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the drawing here, but of course that's it's just a drawing, isn't it? There's nothing to establish that anything was there.
Yep.
What was that case that we covered? Was it last week or the week before? Can't even remember where it was now.
We covered lots of cases.
A hell of a lot of cases. Right. There was one that the police officer got his Polaroid camera out, and he got a half decent. Well, it wasn't even half decent, was it? It was a picture, but at least that Idaho, yes.
Yeah,
at least that tells you one thing, that there was something there, and it was in the air.
Yeah, it was a pretty crappy photo.
Even at Dark Club, it was crappy, yeah. But even at Dark Club Pass, at least they got one photo that proved there was something in the air at the time. But of course, we don't have the witness testimony from them because they they never made it. So what's on the menu tonight then, Paul?
Just the usual teeth toasting.
Okay.
I'm not too fussy. I always get given something. Thankful for small mercies. But I needed it because I could see my sugar levels are dropping quite quick again.
Okay.
Insulin's kicking in. But I'm trying not to be too much crunchiness here. I'll make you all hungry. You one order pizza. You got another case to go or what?
Yeah, we can do one more pot.
We're going through them tonight.
Yeah. I was going to do the Martha Lights as well, which Sue commented on earlier.
Right.
But yeah, that's going to be a bit too far down the list. I think we'll do this one and wrap up, and then we can cover that one next week.
If you want. Yep.
So this is actually this one's fairly detailed, but no, it's not too long actually.
Right. What do you got for dinner tonight?
I've got a cheeseburger. Sorry, no, it's a chicken burger. Yeah,
Nice.
chicken burger.
Are you sure the dog hasn't got it?
Side. Absolutely, it's right by my side.
Well, you should eat it while it's reading out. Alright, we got a link. We pushed enter this time.
Yeah, for once.
Charles gone to bed, has he? A few drop-offs there.
I think Charles is gone since a while.
Loch Raven. That was on the list, I think. Scotland, is it? Doesn't look like Scotland there, though.
I think it is Scotland.
Is it? That looks like America coast.
Yeah, it's Maryland, United States.
Yeah, right. So it's not in Scotland or location Maryland. Yeah, it is too.
So I need to go fill them up.
See, it shows the influence from Scotland and UK goes to America, and the name things pretty similar.
Loch Raven Dam Incident. Case number 0122. Date, October 26, 1958. Time, 10:30 p.m. Location, Loch Raven Dam, Maryland, USA. Witnesses, multiple. Classification, NL Nocturnal Light. Close to the Loch Raven Dam, which is north of Baltimore, Maryland, USA, on the night in October of 1958, two men would have a UFO sighting that would lead to them taking themselves not only to the police to make a report, but also to the local hospital claiming that their faces were burning, presumably from the light off the UFO. Egg-shaped UFO.
Oh no,
Others that night would hear and see things of a similar description to what the men saw, and the following day, very close by, others would also have strange sightings. The men, who are only known as Mr. C and Mr. S, would describe in their report of how they had decided to go for a drive together on the roads around the dam. It was around 10:30 in the night, and though dark, it was a clear and starry sky. As they passed the dam, they continued down the twisting road that leads to the valley. Mr. C explained that on that particular part of the route, the lake nor the bridge that goes over it is visible at all. They continued along the road, then took the left turn that leads to the bridge that is approximately 200 to 250 yards ahead. It was at this point as they came into view of the bridge that they noticed what appeared to be a flat and large egg-shaped object. That was in a way hanging motionless in the air over the top of the structure of the bridge. The men, who up to that point had been traveling at about 30 miles an hour, slowed the car, and began to creep closer towards the bridge along the road to get a better look at what it was. It was then, when they were approximately 75 to 8 feet away from the bridge, that the car suddenly stalled, and went completely dead. Mr. C commented later that it was as if the electrics on it had been affected in some way, with the lights, both interior and exterior, ceasing to work. Mr. S then tried a few times to restart the engine, but to no avail. The car's engine would not even turn over, and there was no sound coming from it at all. Sonic boom. The men gave up trying to start it and instead, for a few moments, they watched the object from the car, but they soon became uneasy about what they were seeing and decided to leave the vehicle. As they did so, they noticed that there was nowhere to go as the road was very narrow, and the lake was one side of them, and on the other side was a cliff. Scared and beginning to panic, they decided that they would go behind the car to put it between themselves and the hovering object.
Cheers. So we got electrical interference again. Again. Happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yep.
But this sound, sonic boom, I don't think that's what they heard. I don't think that's what they heard. Because they heard that sound, but the vehicle was still in view. Clearly still in view.
It's possible it caused a mini earthquake in the region. The craft had an effect on the ground. It does sound like a sonic boom.
So yeah, it's disturbed the atmosphere in a different way.
Well, under the ground, the ground pressure.
Sure.
But yeah, we know UFOs don't make sonic booms, so it had to be some effect on the ground or atmosphere, as you say.
If it was a sonic boom, then you'd have to rule a UFO out, wouldn't you?
Yes, like a jet.
You'd have to say then it was something more conventional.
Mm-hmm. But if it's got a gravity effect, it may affect underground and cause a slip underground. So they may have like a limestone cave-in or something like that, creates a boom noise. And to them it sounds like a sonic boom. Because you've got to remember, a lot of Americans don't have big earthquakes like we have in New Zealand, so they're not used to the sound and the noises they make. To me, it's just like every other day, you know. You get the shake of the house, you hear a boom sound or a crack. But yeah, interesting stuff. I see it's an egg-shaped UFO like Sakiro, though. I know you like that case, and I don't like that one so much, but...
yeah. Well, to be honest, Paul, I've always kind of been inclined to think that what was at Chicago that day was man-made. The only disagreement we had was your explanation for it. You see, I don't believe it was a helicopter. I think it was something that was maybe a bit more advanced than that. But it made an awful lot of noise for a UFO, didn't it? And it was the way he described it flying was kind of clumsy. You know, there was no hypersonic speed or anything like that. And of course, it was so close to the White Sands proving ground in New Mexico that I think that's what they were flying.
Hang on, you're breaking up for some reason.
But of course, it doesn't explain all of them.
You lost your internet connection there for a wee while for some reason. Are you still with us?
I'm back now.
I maybe drop in and out again, just to be sure.
Okay.
It generally happens when he goes to the toilet, you see, and sometimes it goes wrong. Not too sure why. Got no picture. Are you there, Robert? See, as soon as we start talking about Sakura, the men in black has stepped in. He's gone. Let me try reset mine just in case. I know it's too good to be true. We can never have Robert on without some men in black influence. Have we got him back? I think we have. That's really weird. He started corrupting like a Skype call then, which we really never have, you know.
Okay, how's it sounding okay now?
Yeah, it sounds perfect again.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Yeah, it's all good. Other people on the side will let us know if it crackles, hopefully.
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good in my headset anyway.
We've got Jinzo with us. And the electrical interferences have been going on longer in these stories than we've had. Yeah, absolutely. This is why, with the UFO thing, I just completely rule out these new silly breakthroughs in technology that we supposedly have. Because, okay, we might have something that's really advanced today, but the same stories were going back to the 1940s and even earlier. It was just that they were recorded, documented better from the 40s onwards than they were before. Yeah, it's a really good point. Denial now is just folly. You know, we might as well get on with it. Just admit these things actually exist, and let's try and work out what the hell they're up to and how the hell they work.
You've got to always remember too, these sightings could be multiple events. So there may have been a helicopter, there may have been a real UFO as well. And maybe the helicopter was used for a cover story as well, and all this sort of business. So you always got to keep that in mind. Flares drop is the common one we hear about nowadays, but even that sonic boom may have been a fighter jet that's sort of come out of hypersonic speed to try and track the UFO, even in this case. So got to always keep an eye on the multiple events.
Yeah.
Rather than think it's one solid case.
But you see, you said hypersonic now. We're talking about 1958, you see. So I don't think hypersonic speeds were achievable at that time.
Yes, true. I don't think about that. First jet, when was that? Hypersonic jet.
It was the Bell X1 that broke the sound barrier in 1948, wasn't it? I remember
yeah, I'm just thinking of the first jet fighter that could do a sonic boom. It must have been around about that time, though.
Yeah. It was the Bell X1, 1948, I think.
So we've got to just keep an eye on multiple explanations for these things.
Oh, definitely, no question.
Yeah. It may not be all one event. It may be an earthquake happened. It may be a plane was chasing it or trying to search for it, and all this sort of business.
Object. As they continued to watch it, they both thought that it could have been maybe a Navy blimp. The men tried to rationalize what it could have been, but both of them admit that due to the unusual event of the car suddenly losing all power, it did make them suspicious, and they did consider that it could have been something more. They both also estimated, from the amount of space that the object took up over the bridge, being about 1/3 of its length, and by how high it was over it, that it was approximately 100 feet long. The men continued to watch it for about half a minute. Then the object suddenly gave off a bright white flash, emitting a kind of heat wave that both of them felt warming their faces, and which was much brighter than the original glowing light that it seemed to give off up to that moment. The men described the flash of light as being not like a burning light, but more of a sort of ultraviolet light, like something radiation would come off. Simultaneously to this flash of light, there was also a loud boom noise, which they would say was sort of like a clap of thunder, or a dull explosion. The type of noise that would be heard when a plane broke the sound barrier. After this the object then began to raise into the air vertically and very fast, and as it did so the men noticed that it became very bright, so much so that the edges of it became blurred and indistinguishable, making it difficult to determine the object's shape. In approximately 5 to 10 seconds it had completely vanished from their view.
That's typical of a good UFO sighting, that description.
After the object had gone, the men returned to their vehicle, and were surprised that in the first try it started without any problem. They then turned in the road a little further ahead, where it widened, and headed back in the direction from which they had come. They then went straight to the local police station to report what they had seen, and it was while they were there speaking to the officers that they noticed that their faces had a strong burning sensation. They asked the officers if they noticed any redness of their faces, but they said no, but still concerned with the feeling. After they had finished giving their reports, they decided that they would take themselves to the local St. Joseph's Hospital to get checked out. Both were examined briefly by doctors, but they seemed not to be too concerned with the symptoms the men were complaining about. However, a police officer, who was at the scene, and had some experience with radiation burns, did tell the men that if it was radiation poisoning, it would develop more slowly over the course of time.
Yep.
Thinking that they had nothing to worry about at that moment, the two men returned home. Yet the next day they did complain that their faces were redder in appearance and still burning. There were also other witnesses to strange events around the same time as the men's UFO sighting. Another was a Mr. M, a man who was well known and was considered to be a reliable witness, who claims that he saw a luminous white object, which disappeared in an instant after he watched it move in a fast and straight line in a northeasterly direction for a while.
Like the same craft.
It is also reported that at the same time as the bridge sighting, a number of staff from a local restaurant all heard the same noise, which was similar to the one that had been heard by the men when the object began to rise into the air.
Still could be an earthquake.
The claim that they heard a sort of double boom, though the second one may have been an echo. They did not see anything, however, as they were all at work and indoors. There is then the UFO
earthquakes don't
sightings of
always
the following
rock the
day,
ground,
where
though.
between the time of
You've got to
5
be
minutes past
wary
9
of
to
that.
15 minutes past 9, two people claimed to have witnessed a shape of the same dimensions and color as the one the day previously, hovering motionless over a field close to Loch Raven Road, which is close to the bridge. They say that the object then disappeared instantaneously in the air. Two other people also claim that they witnessed exactly the same thing, a hovering luminous white object, that evening as they traveled along the road on their way home. After the incidents were reported, the Air Force did a report on their own findings.
Look at all the
In the
different
Project
footage.
Blue Book, they state that all of the witnesses were considered to be of a good character, and trustworthy, and intelligent people.
That doesn't matter to skeptics.
In a later
especially
media report,
Klaas
Mr.
and
S.
Mick West.
would state that he hoped what he saw would help to
And
understand
David
the
Clark.
phenomena of such sightings, and he would also
And
state that,
Scott Brando.
I do know that they exist, now I
Oh,
have seen it
yeah.
myself.
He's getting on the
I am
tits,
not
simple.
saying it was a flying saucer, I don't know. I do know there are at least things now as UFOs.
There we go. We got to the end.
You reminded me there, talking of Scott Brando.
Yeah.
You remember we covered the Berkshire UFO incident?
Yep. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier
Scott
too.
Brando was casting doubt on it.
Yeah.
Well, the behaviour panel, you remember they done Lazar, they done his body language and
Yeah, I did mention that
all
before.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Eh?
I did mention it at the start of the show. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. But they've
Yeah.
done one on the Berkshire UFO sightings. I haven't seen it yet, but what I'll do, I'll post it to the group so you can have a look.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
you can
covered it
use- you
yesterday.
can use that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I covered it yesterday and played a clip from it. Yeah.
No, you mean the Lazar one? You mean?
No, I did the Lazar one as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
that's why you got to
No
watch my
problem.
stuff. I've already covered it all and shared the links, but yeah, it sort of puts Scott Brando in his place, I thought.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me now then, how did they interpret the Berkshire case then?
100% legit, they said.
Nice one. Okay, excellent. Yeah.
They said there was no deception in any of the witnesses, but they said they're trying to get the witnesses to come on Skype with them, and everyone said, "Oh, that would be great," and then they could read them a lot better without the TV cameras and all the other stress. Whether that happens, I don't know. But the guy said he knows a police officer or someone that works in the city, and they'll try and get in touch with him. But yeah, it's a fascinating case, and I think it's certainly legit what happened to him, even though it wasn't reported in the police logs, or someone's tampered with the logs or whatever. But yeah, it's funny how Scott Brando was bragging that. But after you watch this, just remember this report from what's the guy's name? Dunnan. What's his first name?
Brian Dunning.
Brian
Dunning. Skeptoid.
Yeah, also a criminal that stole $5.1 million from eBay, Phillips.
Yes, which you reminded him of.
Yes,
on
I
Twitter.
did. Yeah, but he blocks me.
You know that Scott Brando, I honestly find him an arrogant little turd, you know. He's nauseating.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case with a lot of the skeptics, though.
Yeah, I debunk this, I debunk that. This is nonsense, that's nonsense. He's just anyway.
He's a debunker that gets under everybody's skin, right? That's why we are the truthers. It's best to be in the middle, like just in politics. It's best to always be sitting in the middle and just watching things and keeping an open mind. Don't just write off everything. It's not black and white, but it's somewhere in between.
The likes of him dying breed anyway, thank God.
Yeah. Apart from that, most of the news is all pretty much circular at the moment. on TTSA and all that sort of business, and people attacking each
Well,
other.
there'll be more stuff next week, and it's happening now at such a fast pace.
Oh, there's always new stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's probably more come out while we've been doing this show. So we'd have to cover it next live and sort of debunk it or bring to attention to it or whatever.
You know, like I was saying earlier, if you go back to early 2017, there was absolutely nothing happening. Nothing. It was just boring. You know, it was like a tinfoil hat club, UFO people.
Yeah, I guess so. But then I was always busy. I was always busy looking at MUFON cases and bringing it to the screen. But yeah, 2017, I think I was still creating episodes, not doing live shows back then. I think the live shows have changed the scenario quite a lot, what we can do. And we can cover a lot more material in the same time slots. And it takes like 8 hours just to make an episode. And you have to cut out stuff, not make it too long or whatever. You know, it's a bit hard to do. But yeah, I think the skeptics are sort of losing ground lately, for sure. But they are debunking the obvious ones. I call Scott Brando the obvious debunker, right? He always finds references to someone created a CGI video. You know, Scott C. Warren nonsense of cutting out squares on the sun and all that sort of business. To me, I just tackle everyone. I look at everyone, and if I can't debunk it, I will say, well, it's either this or this, and just move on to the next one. But most of the time, you know it's mundane, but you can't say whether it's going to be a balloon or a plane in the distance or something like that. So, but you can sort of rule out it being alien craft most of the time, probably 99% of the time. The only ones we can't really debunk is the ones we haven't got footage, but we've got credible eyewitness accounts. You know, generally Earl gets those ones. And we really need to get him to come on the show once he's mended, because he keeps saying he's working on a brilliant case at the moment, and he gives me a little snippet of what they said, and I said, oh, you got to come on the show and tell everybody about it, and it never happens. It's a bit of a shame, really.
No. Yeah,
he should have a weekly slot on the Out There channel. He should just come on and keep us updated with what he's working on, because that's really exciting, what the stuff he works on.
Of course it is. He doesn't have to give all the details away.
No, but he should do a weekly thing, and I think it would be like a good thing for MUFON, because he's like the face of MUFON, as far as I'm concerned. All the others are idiots.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
There's some good people out there. There's, you know, especially the boots on the ground researchers. You know, they're not guilty of this. You know, it's just shocking the way they've had to fall foul of this. What I'd call a witch hunt.
Yeah.
And well, we know the people who are, you know, who've smelt the blood on this. You know, falling right into the lap. That horrible Edrica Lukes is one for a start.
Yeah, well, I know you don't like her much, but
oh Jesus, I'm always. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I watched her show last night before bed.
I'm not the only one, I can tell you.
I still listen to what she's got to say, though. That's why you got to have some balance, you know.
Oh, well, this is it. You got to keep an eye on everybody in the field and see what they're up to.
That's correct. And
the only thing where I draw the line is people like Goofon. I just can't listen to him because the guy's, you know, such a buffoon.
Yeah,
you know,
he didn't talk much. He didn't talk much in the clip that we were playing. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. He talked a lot too much for me. That was more than enough for me.
Mostly it was Dave Scott having a rant there, but anyway, what's happened?
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
There was a funny clicking sound, and then suddenly we got a pop up.
Whoa.
Okay, that's weird. Why is it not clicking away? Yeah, suppose we could close that down. I don't know. UFO feels mostly drama and 10% UFOs. So at least we try to do 90% UFOs and 10% drama.
Yeah.
Here, anyway, but yeah. I don't know if there's anything else to discuss at the end of the night here. Anyone in the side chat want to throw up some questions? Anything that we covered tonight? I suppose we should have done farmer index on each of them.
Oh, well,
we keep forgetting
as
about
a New
doing
York
that.
Times article, I think that was a bit of a swing and a miss. I'd only have to give that on the farmer's factometer index. I'd only have to give that 2 sheep.
Yeah, it was a big flop, really.
It was, yeah. It was an anticlimax. It was a damp squib rather than a bombshell.
Yeah, all the hype from UFO Jesus. I don't think it's a 1, which is a total fake, but I'd have to give it maybe a 2.5, maybe. Yeah, very true. And
I think
what's
the
the
other
next?
case was
Australian
that we've looked
one.
at. I think
just
a
go
4.
4. That was the one talking about the water tank water being taken.
Yeah. And I only go as low as 4 because there was only 2 witnesses to that case, wasn't there?
Yeah, but we didn't actually see any pictures of the hole in the tank and whether it was really sucked out or simply got a hole in the tank and drained out overnight, and it was fabricated though. So I'd have to give it a 3 because I don't think there's enough facts here. But it was an old case, wasn't it? 60. Was it 66?
No, that was I think that was 1980.
Oh, it's not that too old then, but still 40 years.
Yeah, and the second case we done was 1978. That was the River Weaver humanoid incident.
Yeah.
There was 3 witnesses there. And what they were describing was far too bizarre to even contemplate making up, to be honest. So I'd have to go 4 with that as well.
Taken cattle and the odd-shaped UFO, which wasn't normal standard size UFO at all. I don't know, it lacks a lot of information for me to be given a really high rating. It's an interesting story, but yeah, maybe 3.5, maybe. And what was the other one we did after that?
We done Michigan after that. That was the 1996 one, which was where the swamp gas explanation. That was the genesis of the swamp gas. Hyneks, Achilles heel.
That wasn't really a FMI one, but the sighting, swamp gas, what the guy was explaining, he looked really sincere. The body language kind of said that he was upset by being called a liar and all that sort of stuff. So I think that was legit. That's probably got to be a good 4, 4.5, that one.
Definitely.
In my book. I like the older cases because there's a lot of witnesses, There was a lot of witnesses with that particular case as well, even though they weren't with the guy.
Yeah. And it happened over a period of days in an isolated area as well. So, yeah, lots of witnesses. No photos again. And then we finished off with this one, the Loch Dam incident.
Yep.
Which sounds, you've got engine interference, vertical takeoff. Yeah.
And multiple witnesses to the sound, at least. And some sightings of it going vertically as well. So that was a good one too. So you got to at least give that a 3.5 at least.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll go 4. I think it was a real event.
But yeah, just if they had some video footage, right? So it would be a lot better. Anyway, I suppose we better start winding up here.
Sure thing.
What are we up to now? 10 minutes past 3. Unless anyone else wants to add to what we want here. I'm curious. Let's just zoom in there.
Yeah,
go.
Ginzo, have a look back. You know, rewind to the start of the episode, and we covered it for an hour. So, yeah.
Plus, I covered
yeah, it was
some other stuff also yesterday on live. Yep, you can always wind back if you catch the end of the live show. You can actually just grab the scroll thing and scroll back to the beginning, and you can actually start watching it while we're still streaming live to it. That's how it sort of does it on Google, and then they process it into a final product at the end. Snipes, all good, great stream. Thanks, mate. So we'll just say good night.
Thank you, Ginzo, Sue, Shelley, Charles.
Thanks for all the likes.
Suspects.
Yep, thanks for all the likes, and hopefully some of you win Lotto so you can start donating to the channel. But we got a good bunch of people here that actually believe and have critical minds for. We don't want people that believe in all sorts of stuff like rocks being spaceships on Mars and Moon. From 10,000 to 100,000 feet up, or whatever it is. So they take photographs from all the rover. Sharing and interaction and comments. I know other channels get like 50 viewers or 50 likes and 20 viewers. We're down at 4 and 10 today. What did we get up to? It must have been about 10 maybe. 11?
12
anyway.
It was at one point, yeah. But I think a lot of people tuned in to see the analysis on that New York Times article, and I noticed them dropping off quite quickly after that.
Yeah. Probably because something else come up on TV
an awful lot of people
or other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's an awful lot of people.
Or it could be other streams as well.
Cases.
A lot of other streams go today too. I think we'll find there'll be some other conflict going on. Probably another goof on stream or whatever that was happening.
No.
I'll find out after we shut down, I suppose. I know we're in a tough between a rock and a hard place here, really. We're the only ones that sort of have some balance and do debunk the rubbish out there, and have a better knowledge on things too. You know, that goof on not knowing that Ice Lake wasn't a UFO is just amazing to me. It's fairly obvious it wasn't a UFO that had been buried under snow. It's all pareidolia. Anyone could see that. But anyway, Lionsground put out something on that yesterday too. So he did some more enhancements on it than I did, because it was fairly dark imagery and there's only one set of photographs at all. The new ones were overcast day that day, so which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, it's better wrap it up if there's any more questions out there. Could care less about any other channel, really. Yeah, but we got to keep looking at them to see what they're promoting and try and correct things as we go, right? So it's never ending. But I think a man that's going down with blazing guns trying to shoot them all. I'm just outnumbered anyway, especially with the Dreaming team. Catch you again midweek, hopefully, guys. We've got a lot more stuff to cover. It's never ending.
I'll see you on the weekend.
Good night, and hopefully that's coming up now. Yes, it's been quite a good stream. There hasn't been too many problems. we go. The CPU's been pretty good too.
Good.
I think my little tweaks here and there sort of helped wee bit. Just reporting to LG season. Yeah, I don't think LG really cares too much about the UFO stuff anymore. Oh, I've lost sound. Or is it locked up?
Ooh.
Oh, something happened there. CPU's 57%. What's going on?
Well, I'm glad it's happened now.
Men in Black are just trying to get me. See, that's what happens when you mention LG. That's really weird. Now let me just minimize some stuff here, it might speed up. Oh, gone going. That's really weird. Well, that's never happened before. There we go. I think Windows is doing something background, mate. I think people have us. They think we're having them on about the Men in Black, but something we sort of have gremlins every time you come on, at least.
It's amazing how many people have actually done podcasts on just normal everyday subjects. Never had any bother.
Yeah.
And then they've come into ufology and they've done podcasts on that subject, and they have had problems. Lots
This
of them.
is crazy. I think I might just end it here. This is really strange. It's come back to the desktop now. Anyway, good night, everybody.
Okay, yeah. Good
Those
night,
women in
everyone.
black. Yeah.